Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Adam Green. This is No More News. Thank you for joining me today, Friday, March 20th, 2026. Huge show today, big Friday show, so much to cover. Going to try to get through all of it. Did Netanyahu trash Jesus like the Christians are claiming? No. First thing we're going to talk about. We've got... It's satanic to oppose Yahweh and the Jews or Christianity clips. We've got a Christian apologist giving us another case closed moment that Christianity was designed to conquer the Gentiles and conquer Rome. And a bunch of other stuff. So much other stuff. This show is only made possible thanks to you guys and your support. Turning on the Powerchat here now. And resetting the clock from yesterday where we did not make the goal. Womp, womp, womp. All right. Amalek's going to be here. Are you here already, Amalek? No, not yet. I sent him the link a few minutes ago. He'll be here in a minute. Looks like Power Chats are turned on. Powerchat.live/no more news to have your comment read on the stream. I always enjoy your guys' chipping in to the conversation and to the No More News Fund. Going to go over the latest supposed AI BB video from the kooks and the disinfo agents. Video this morning of a rocket striking a wall of the Jerusalem Old City. Look at this from the security camera. Looks like they clipped the corner here. The corner real close to the Dome of the Rock is what all the Jews are saying. Oh, is this another one? There's the dome. Pretty close to the dome. A block away.
Yo, what's up?
Yo, we're watching the dome almost got blown up with a missile.
Yeah, I just saw that.
Yep. Close, but no cigar. Maybe next time. Maybe next time. That's what they're all excited about, too. They're like, ooh, it's so close to Al-Aqsa. So close to the dome. It almost happened. What's up? Thanks for being here, Emily. What?
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, this Mizrachi clip ready for when he says, oh, maybe it'll accidentally hit the thing? I think I have it right here. Hold on.
I don't. But yeah, we saw him. We covered him saying that the other day. That's
he said it 1,000 times. Trust us.
Everybody's been saying this forever. I've been saying this forever, too.
Yeah.
Like, oh, they're gonna claim it was something from Iran and it hit it, and it would really be one of ours or something, and they'll blame them. They'll blame the Muslims, and there'll be a Muslim holy war or something. But no, first let's get into these Christians like Owen Schroyer cutting out the context that Netanyahu is quoting a well-known author about Jesus. He says in this short clip, Netanyahu insults Christians and Jesus Christ. He says there's no purpose in being a good person. He didn't say that either. That's not the message. Says we have no choice but to fight Israel's wars. That's what this is about, is telling us we need to act against who they tell us is evil. And threatens us if we don't. He cuts out the context. We'll play the full context in a second. But Owen's misrepresentation got almost 1 million views and 44,000 likes.
Well, history proves that, unfortunately and unhappily, Jesus Christ has no advantage over Genghis Khan. Because if you are strong enough, ruthless enough, powerful enough, evil will overcome good. Aggression will overcome moderation.
See, he's saying Jesus is good. Jesus is the ultimate good. He's too good that if you don't do anything in the real world, evil people will beat you.
So you have no choice. If you look at the world as it is today,
no choice.
You have to be blind not to see that the democracies led by the United States have to reassert their will to defend themselves and to oppose their enemies in time while there's still time. before the jarring gong of danger wakes them up and wakes them up too late. Well, history proves that.
One thing that's crazy about this that I don't know if I've seen too many people point out is that within the context of this, I pointed this out to you yesterday. Genghis Khan, when he came and started like conquering from the east, Christians of that time were all writing to each other and saying to each other, "Oh, look, it's Gog and Magog, the end of the world. Jesus is going to come back any day now." Basically, not just the Mongolians, but essentially all like Central Asian migration invasions, like the Huns and all these groups that came out of the east on horseback, were all essentially linked to Gog and Magog. And I could go through and we could do a whole episode on nothing but just primary sources of different bishops or nobles writing back and forth to each other, talking about like, oh, we're in the end of days. It's the end of days. Oh my, like there's no reason to fight on, or I'm not sending our. Why would we send our troops to fight in for the Byzantine Empire, because it's just God's judgment for our sins anyway. There's unlimited primary sources from the 1200s going over this and other periods of time. So this was an actual historical reality, and that's kind of what Will Durant is pointing out in that book that's being quoted. Is he's saying like the lessons of history are overall that you actually have to defend against Genghis Khan. You can't just be like, oh, Jesus is coming back today. That's the overarching point that he's making, not just in that section, but in that part of the book.
So look, Mogged by Grok says context clarifies it's not an insult to Jesus or Christians, but Christians love to make stuff up and play the victim in pearl clutch and cry about, oh, they hate Jesus so much. Oh, Jesus, 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 always every day crying about Jesus. Can they go one day without crying about the mythical Jewish Messiah? No, that always has to dominate the whole discourse. Who the Messiah is, and they mock the Messiah and blah, blah, blah. It's so stupid, Owen. This is pretty shameful that you cut out the context that he's quoting somebody else also and then spin it into wanting to be insulted. And Christians love this. They get off. They live to be insulted. In their story, Jesus is supposed to be mocked and spit on and scoffed at and rejected by the Jews. And they just get off on it. They love it. They love playing little victims like this. Here's the... He quoted Will Durant, used Jesus as an example of someone who is supremely good, points out that if good people don't stand up to evil tyrants will take over and do evil things. Clearly, that's the point. It's not like he's getting up here trying to insult Jesus, but Amalek, we talked about this, right? Bibi must have known that this was going to incite and offend some people online. So go ahead.
Well, think about how he started the whole speech. This is how he got up there. From the very first thing he did was say, "Oh, look, you guys are going to have to be witness to the fact that I'm not dead and I'm not AI," which shows that he understands that this is like an information war on the internet. He talks about this all the time. He talks about this in his speeches and his interviews, that he understands that this is an information war in today's terms, like in today's understanding. And so he knows how that quote was going to be taken. I think he did this on purpose. So what we're seeing is essentially like we're watching the system play out. He plants the trap, he puts the bait, all the Christians take it, not all the Christians, the E-Crusaders take it, they attack him for it, right? And what all of my timeline is, what I'm seeing, is all of the real Christians, all the smart Christians and the quality Christians, they're all realizing what we're talking about here, which is that it wasn't in that context. It was actually kind of pro-Christian in a way. He's literally saying like Jesus is the like pinnacle of goodness, essentially, right?
And peace
and peace. Yeah. That's essentially what he's saying, right? And so now we're watching their reaction to it, which what does this do? It creates sympathy, not just for Bibi, but Judaism as a whole, for like normal, regular Christians. So this is how philo-Semitism is made. This is how tolerance for what they're doing is made, is because of the way that these guys are acting. And they took the bait this time, like 100%. I was watching it live and I saw some of the first accounts that were posting the clip out of context, by the way, and they're all like foreigner accounts, one of Romanian, Indian, all this other stuff. So that is what I think this whole kind of what we're watching is happening, is we're watching this system play out in real time in front of us with this incident. But this is how all of it's been playing out for a very long time, is they do the bait, The idiots act like idiots. Everyone points and looks like, oh, well, I'm not going to join the idiots. I'm going to join the people that didn't take the quote out of context. And like that is what's built this like layered foundation of philo-Semitism in our culture.
Look, he put out a statement, more fake news about my attitude towards Christians who are protected and flourish in Israel. Let me be clear. I did not denigrate Jesus Christ at my news conference this evening. To the contrary, I cited the great American historian Will Durant, a fervent admirer of Jesus Christ. Durant stated that morality by itself is not enough to ensure survival. The morally superior civilization may still fall to a ruthless enemy if it does not have the power to defend itself. No offense was met. And now all these people online just look shady for cutting out the context that he's quoting somebody and misrepresenting, and they'll misrepresent to play victim and act like, oh, but nothing they hate more than Jesus, when I just happen to be working on a new edit about how Netanyahu loves Jesus and is always shilling Jesus. They won't share these clips and show that clearly Christianity, I mean, Jesus is Jewish and it's Christianity, and they're being used, 700 million Christian Zionists around the world, to be their greatest allies and defenders, right? But no, Sovereign Bra, who wants to talk trash on the timeline but is scared to do a stream with me, gets 9,000 likes. He says he's denying the divinity of Christ while simultaneously demanding everyone double down on his war. The arrogance of this man. Oh, denying the divinity of Christ. You mean like everybody that's not a Christian? Whoa, newsflash. Netanyahu doesn't believe in the divinity of Christ. Otherwise, he'd be a Christian, right? But also, that's not what this quote is about. It's not denying the divinity of Christ. Durant was raised Christian. It's not about the point of this. Do Christians just have like bad reading comprehension, and that's why they fall for Christianity and every conspiracy out there? They just aren't very good at understanding like the point of things, comprehension of like what the point is. This is not about he's not getting up there like, I'm going to deny Christ to everybody, to all the Christians.
Here I go. No. I'm about to deny it right in front of their faces. Ha 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 ha. Yeah, that's what that's kind of how they view it. They view it like it's an anime. Like he got up there and was like, I'm about to go up there and shit on Christ. But, it's funny. I was just thinking about this because, I was raised Christian. I was thinking kind of like, just kind of reflecting on my own version of kind of understanding how I used to understand this concept that they're talking about, right? This idea of like evil in the real world. And you know what? It's funny is Chronicles of Narnia is kind of getting at this in itself. I don't know if you read that as a kid or if you ever watched the movies or anything like that, but like it just shows these guys are like very basic like shit. Like they're such shitty Christians that they don't even understand like the very basic things like that. Like the whole concept that like you can't just let evil go in the world. And obviously,
yeah, don't you agree with that, Sovereign Bro? Do you disagree with this statement that we have to stand up against evil in the world?
This is literally like what the E-Crusaders think they're doing, is that they're standing up against the evil in the world. That's what's crazy about this.
Yeah, by just believing Jesus already won and sits on the throne in heaven, we don't got to do anything. The Jews got to do their Antichrist and whatever has to happen. Jesus already won. He conquered Satan 2,000 years ago. He's on the throne in heaven. He's the king. But it's like, if you just sit back and say Christ is king, some enemy hordes are going to come in and rape your whole village. That's the point. Do you disagree? No, they don't. They're just lying so they can cry and kvetch. And, oh, he hates him so much. Oh, you're so pathetic.
Say Christ is Lord. I saw somebody posting that, by the way, the Say Christ is Lord Shia LaBeouf meme. Dude, Shia LaBeouf is literally ethnically Jewish. So they're like an ethnically Jewish Christian meme being posted at like a secular Nietzschean, however you want to describe what BB is at this point. Like, I don't even, whatever, it doesn't even matter. And like, they're just totally lost. They have no way of like actually viewing reality and seeing what's going on and then like describing what's going on in reality. They're like living in the fantasy book. And BB totally knows what he did by mentioning this quote, by the way. He
had to have known that Christians would take this in the worst possible, uncharitable, 100%. Ignore the context. And then they did.
Post, he compared Genghis Khan to Jesus Christ our Lord. It's like, dude, you guys are so cooked. Holy shit.
That's the future.
Here's the full quote too.
That they don't see the kind of world we're living in. In this world, it's not enough to be moral. It's not enough to be just.
See, he's calling Jesus moral and just, even in this context.
It's not enough to be right. You know, one of the
And
greatest
right.
writers of the 20th century, someone that I admire a lot, was the historian Will Durant. Now, he wrote many volumes. I read most of them. He also wrote The Lessons of History, very brief, 100-page book, in which he said, well, history proves that, unfortunately and unhappily, Jesus Christ has no advantage over Genghis Khan. Because if you are strong enough, ruthless enough, powerful enough, evil will overcome good.
See, he's calling Jesus good and moral and just.
It's almost
And
like
making a correct point about that you have to defend yourselves and fight against evil in this world. The Christians are so bad faith. Most people are going to see this. Regular Christians are going to see this, and they're going to think, poor Bibi, these lying Christians, lying again. Meanwhile, also, you're not just lying like to try to like win a propaganda win and turn Christians against Netanyahu. That's not going to work. And you're ignoring the point that they use Christianity and promote Christianity. Like this video I've just been working on. We're not going to play the whole thing, but we're going to play a little bit of it.
Yeshua.
What does he say? Does he really hate Jesus, or is he constantly promoting Jesus?
I wish Israel's many Christian friends around the world a very Merry Christmas. On behalf of the people of Israel, I thank each and every one of you for your prayers and for your support.
First of all, look at Christ himself. I mean, he was a Jewish teacher from the Galilee. He wasn't a Palestinian teacher. He was a Jewish teacher.
Hold on, real quick. Pause it. I'm
The
sorry.
Jewish
Yeah,
name.
one thing about his statement I just realized is he's almost like wishing that Jesus was the Messiah. That's kind of the implicit what. he
Yeah,
said
yeah,
was
yeah. Oh, yeah. That like what Dugan tweeted. It's a
Yeah.
transformation from the Moshiach ben Joseph, the suffering
Yes.
Messiah, to now the Moshiach ben David, military Messiah.
100%. It's almost like he wishes that the claims
Yeah.
of Christians was true. That's almost
So it's
what
like
I feel
he's
he's
saying
learning.
he's Moshiach ben David almost.
Yes,
Because
yes.
he's going to be that military Messiah. They need to get
Yeah.
behind him. So it did happen on
Yes.
Thursday, apparently. Netanyahu is Moshiach ben David now, I guess.
Yeah, he announced that I am Mashiach Ben. Yeah, dude, isn't that crazy? How if you really look at what he was
Yeah.
saying, it's kind of fascinating, and they totally all miss it. They totally miss like the tangible thing here, which is
That-
what you're
yeah.
showing here with this video.
That is the symbolic meta going on right there. We can't just have the suffering
And then-
Messiah. We need the military Messiah.
And people have to understand, like BB knows about this stuff. First of all, he made that comment about he's not coming next Thursday, right? And then he has a whole bunch of like what I call like rabbinical advisors and people who are just totally plugged into this stuff and doing numerology and he's coming tomorrow, he's coming next week, and all this stuff. He's aware of all these things. So we're not.
He
just, like,
mentioned
kind of
already about
speculating.
Thursday. He knows about the Messiah
Yeah.
being revealed on next Thursday, and that's when he planned his "I'm alive." Like I've
It's like
resurrected him. That was his coming out. Like
Whoever told him to make that quote,
Yeah.
was a genius. Like was
He's
like,
not
like a
spirit
total
now.
genius.
He's not a spirit AI. He's a real flesh and blood military Messiah. Wow.
It's funny. And then
And-
all
and look
Christians
at what
are totally
Duke-
missing it.
I saw Dugan's tweet too. He said something like this. He said, "This is the transition between." Where is it? Maybe if what?
Dugan retweeted my video the other day. Somebody like one of the posts that that stole it. That said Mashiach was coming on Thursday. He
Oh.
linked that clip.
Dude, he's tweeting all this Antichrist stuff. Okay, I don't see it, but anyway, he did say something along those lines.
Interesting. But yeah, that's what's going on.
Crazy. Yeah, good point. Good point. I was thinking about that too.
I mean, he was a Jewish teacher from the Galilee. He wasn't a Palestinian teacher. He was a Jewish teacher with a Jewish name, Yeshua. His father was Yosef, Joseph. These are all Hebrew names. It was the birth of Christianity came from Jewish teachers who moved to Christianity, but they were Jews and they came from Jewish traditions.
Into the time of Jesus, a Jewish rabbi from the Galilee who came here to Jerusalem, the Holy of Holies, and he came here to that pool in Siloam to be purified where he also performed the miracle of helping the blind see.
Where did Jesus turn the tables on the money changers? Where? In Nepal? Perhaps in Singapore? Of course not. It was in the Jewish temple.
Jesus was teaching in the Galilee.
Absolutely.
And as I said,
I love how he's denying the divinity of Christ, but he says he comes and does miracles and helps the blind see. He's flipping the money tables. He's purifying himself in the Galilee. He's
It's like the
preaching
only
to
part
the
that he denies
faithful.
is that he's God.
Yeah.
He doesn't. It's almost like he doesn't even deny that it could be the Son of God, right? Like it's almost like you could see a situation where he's like, okay, well, he must have performed miracles somehow.
Mhm.
It's like he totally just buys into the almost all parts of the Jesus story, except for Jesus is God.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
And these Christians are kvetching. He probably has a
If you come
more
to it-
like true to Christianity or Christian viewpoint of Jesus and God than most of the e-crusaders.
Thank you, Anne-Marie.
On Rumble. Daddy and I are watching live. He said he is enjoying your book. Great job, Adam.
Thank you. Thank you. Shout out Daddy.
Corn Pop sent $5 driving to work. I look to my left. Billboard says, have you talked to Jesus today? Why are Christians so persecuted?
Dude, I was at the gym yesterday and Fox News was on the TV and they cut to commercial and it was John Hagee, Christians United for Israel, some other faith thing. It was all Christian slop, all the commercials, the programming and the commercials, all Christian slop. Nothing
watching
they
Fox
fear more.
I was watching Fox News the other day, and there was an Israel commercial that was like, "Pay to the poor Jews in Israel," and right after was a Christian version for Ethiopian Christians. So it was like, "Quick, pay your money to Israel," and then it was like, "Oh, hey Christians, when you're at it, also pay your money to Christians in Ethiopia." It was like a back-to-back commercial.
Jesus was teaching in the Galilee.
Absolutely.
And as I said, if you come to Israel, you'll see two things that will amaze you. One is you'll see the very places where Jesus taught and preached, the actual places, the buildings he was in. The second thing that will happen is you'll see the Jesus boat, I call it. Okay, so what's the Jesus boat? An ancient fishing boat, okay? Fisherman boat. We took the carbon dating of that, and it's plus minus 20 years from the time of Jesus. So people said, well, you don't know that Jesus was on it. And I said, you don't know that he wasn't.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
but it's the kind of Jesus, the boat that Jesus used, when proselytizing to the faithful on the banks of the Sea of Galilee and in the water. A church right in the Sea of Galilee where Jesus preached
Oh, yeah.
in Capernaum. It's there, it's standing there. You can stand exactly where Jesus stood. You can walk in the footsteps of Jesus. I'm talking to a Christian audience, and I'm trying to get you to come to Israel or get you to get into this podcast that I'm going to do for the Bible. If you're a Christian and you study the Bible...
Oh, I wonder if he's done his
and you're a
podcast for the
believer
Bible.
and you want
Remember that?
Probably bullshit. No, I doubt it. He has another one where he goes, "Come and I'll give you a guided tour," like he did.
Yeah.
Maybe for a photo op.
Well, he's talking about how him and
Commercial-
Paula White should do a podcast together.
Yeah.
would be so
I mean, this is the dominant form of Christianity. This is the form of Christianity that like is carving the way and in power, and they're shilling it. Everybody's shilling it. Trump and all his cabinet and Fox News and Newsmax and all the alternative media and the mainstream media isn't exposing it. They're not trying to expose it. They're pushing it, and then people still can't put it together. They go, oh, but our based internet version, it's not real, where Jesus is an Aryan and the Jews are the synagogue of Satan. It's just like, that is not real Christianity.
Well, just another point to this too is they want to scapegoat people like Paula White and say like, oh, she's just a dispensationalist. It's just a dispensationalist, and they're so kooky, and that's not real Christianity. But like, it's to misunderstand what dispensationalists and what those Christians are doing. And you see it with yesterday, or maybe it was the day before, Ted Cruz. He like retweeted the Catholics' response to all this anti-Semitism. He was like, "See, I support Catholics, and I'm not a Catholic, but I support you guys and your anti-Semitism." So really, what it is it's like, Ted Cruz's pastor is like an extreme dispensationalist. So it's not like what's happening is like the dispensationalists are kind of like leading all the other Christian sects in this kind of way. Like scapegoating them and saying it's all their fault. It's completely their fault. it's like it completely removes the complicity of Catholics, and it removes all the other sects that are going along with this. Far more Christians that are non-dispensationalists are like following to this tune.
Exactly. And it's not even just like dispensationalists or Schofield. Most of the people that are on board with this have never heard of either one of those things. They're just average Christians. A bunch of Catholics even think like this too. Christianity did not get subverted with Schofield 100 years ago. There was 500 years ago, there was already Christians wanting to have a return of the Jews and restoration of the land and prophecy to be fulfilled. And of course, it's going to become the dominant form of Christianity when there is the state of Israel and they rose to be a global superpower. And the whole story, it's going to be more persuasive to people. You're losing with your footnotes. All right, a little more of this.
Yeah, go ahead. I was just gonna say real quick, one of the things I saw from a rabbi yesterday when I was watching some rabbi videos is they basically said this kind of idea that just essentially the reason that Christian and Muslims are so angry about Israel, so many of them are so angry, is because it kind of proves their claims untrue. Because the Jews did return to the land. They have had restored, you know what I mean? They have basically like done all these things, and then Christians point to it and say like, oh, maybe there is something to this, maybe there is miraculous, maybe there is something to this. So it like just by them being there itself, it's kind of like disproving that God is like the God, like that God, you know, if he is real, that he's not on their side, right? That is kind of what's going on there. That's why a lot of them are so angry about it. And you know, and the Jews understand that, by the way. That's not like a secret that they're hiding. They're saying that kind of stuff all the time.
So, in the common origins of our heritage, then come to Israel and see the actual places where all these things took place. And also learn the facts about ancient Israel and modern Israel. The only place in the Middle East where the Christians are fully safe.
Okay, hold on. Let's go skip
Jewish Zionism.
this part.
To the Jewish state and modern.
An embrace is in Israel.
Yeah, Sovereign Bra and Owen Schroyer aren't going to show you these clips, huh? They're not going to show you all what he regularly says about Jesus.
You have no greater friend.
You're going to just misrepresent and spin something he didn't say.
You have to go to your
I mean,
homeland.
not to talk shit, but like Mark Collette, like, dude, what do you like? Can we make you? Can we force you? Can I force him to watch like an hour of this stuff before he'll get it? Like, I don't know.
Dude, honestly, it could be because he's not on Twitter. He's not on Twitter. He hasn't been seeing what's going on. He hasn't been seeing all the viral compilations and rabbi clips and all of the receipts we're pulling. So he's a little out of the loop, I think.
Well, he's
on
like,
the
he's like in 2016 Telegram brain, sort of in some ways. I could tell kind of where he's at with some things, which I understand. I'm not talking shit. Like I kind of get it, to be honest. You know, I said to you when we talked about it, but part of the thing with Mark, I think, is because he's British, he just doesn't see it the same, because to them, Islam, like the like Europe was secularized, not by Jews. Like there was some of that going on, but Europe was secularized long before they had these issues. It was essentially secularized over, you know, dozens of religious wars and then 2 world wars back to back. Them like basically like exporting their religious people to America and the New World for generations. Like that's the reason that Europe is secular, not because as much as Jews coming in and doing it. And to what degree it is them doing that, they're trying to create like a pluralistic religious society that's more accepting to Muslims for the East, or for the Ishmaelites and all this other stuff that we talk about, right? Like that's the purpose there. It's not because they hate Christianity and they're using it as like some sort of way to defeat, you know, Europe by making them de-Christianized. They're trying to make a pluralistic society that accepts Muslims because they know that that's going to, in liberal societies, that's like the way to do those types of things. That's like the way they thrive the best, things like that. It's not that they're, you know, going after Christianity because they see it as the threat. So I mean, like, so from the difference between like a European and an American, I understand why many Europeans see like what you're talking about or what I'm talking about. They're like, why do you guys care so much about the Christianity? Because in Europe, it's already dead, basically. You know what I mean? Like, if somebody's Christian, they're just going to, you know, weddings. They're going to funerals. That's what Christianity is in Europe. But they don't understand. In America, Christianity is like political.
Adam, how do you cope now that Professor Jang pretty much stole your thesis and made it mainstream on Tucker? I told you the Jimmy Dore route could have been your breakout moment, but your ego got in the way. Sad. Are you CJ Maxing by burning all bridges?
I didn't burn a bridge with Jimmy Dore. What are you talking about? I don't even know if he knows who I am. And I don't think it was in the cards that they would ever have me on. If so, why not already?
Yeah, I actually,
Yeah.
I kind of understand the super chat. Look, guys, Adam isn't gonna like email Jimmy Dore and be like, hey, like, can I come on your show and stuff like that? Like I said, if you want Adam on Jimmy's show, I watch Jimmy, okay? And it's not, and I mean, Adam, I'm constantly telling you what Jimmy's saying and things like that, right? Like I watch the show. I understand what he's saying. So I also want Adam to go on Jimmy's Dore, and I do think Jimmy's Dore's show and his audience is ready for Adam's thing. At the same time, Jimmy Dore is part of like this Russian operation
Optics
network.
Prime sent $5 on Rumble.
Mhm.
Mark views
And so is Zhang.
through rose-tinted glasses. Sure, it may have been beneficial for our people in the past, but it has led us to this dead end of multiculturalism.
And me and Zhang aren't saying the same thing either. He's not exposing that Christianity is a big fake Jewish myth and designed to theologically conquer the world. I haven't seen him say that. And he's blaming Illuminati and saying they're all Satanists and demons and stuff. That's everything I've been opposing. That is the controlled op slop narrative. It's not saying the same thing. Like, what is the same thing? Religions have end times prophecies. That's not some like theory or something. That's just like common knowledge. If you know anything about these religions, that's like the first thing you learn is that they've got end times prophecies and think Jesus is going to return or Antichrist and stuff. That's not some like new novel thing. But he's taken like normal shit that is like the cat's out of the bag. You know, there's compilations of rabbis all over the internet talking about Gog and Magog or the West is Edom or these basic things. He's taken it and then saying it's satanic demons and evolution is a satanic psyop to cover up God and all types of the wacky kooky shit, typical with the narratives that you see along all these Russia cliques pushing satanic demons type of thing. So that's my thought on it.
Yeah, I don't think any of that's like burning the bridge with Jimmy. I think that's just like accurately describing how you view things or how I view things.
Yeah.
And
the dude's clearly astroturfed in some way and allowed to blow up on YouTube and gets on every single big platform.
He's on Tucker. He's on Tucker.
I know he's on Tucker today. Yeah,
it's fucking crazy. I can't even believe. Dude, whatever.
Yeah, the dude's favorite philosopher is Dugin, and he said he's learning about Sabatine Frankus from what's the guy? Kurt Metzger. Who also pushes a bunch of wacky shit.
Yeah,
so
and
I'm sorry. I'm not gonna like pull punches and not like point out when big influencers are saying stuff that I think is completely untrue and wrong and subversive. I'm never gonna pull punches about that to try to suck up and get on somebody's show.
Yeah, and to whoever just super chatted that, like I said, I'm constantly telling Adam that we got to get you on that show. I've been saying it to him for like 6 months. So I understand why you're saying that as well, but I don't think Adam can ever like pull punches, like you said, or not criticize people from this angle. Because if nobody's doing this, if no one's doing what Adam's doing, this whole thing becomes like cuckoo Christian, like totally toothless, totally schizo, totally worthless, all those things. Right. So like this feedback has to be given to these people, and it's not burning bridges is what I would say. It's like how you interact and influence with the political world. So hopefully one day Adam is on that show. I think it would be awesome because like I said, I do think his audience and him and Kurt and all those guys are ready to like grow up, put down the make-believe version of what's going on and like really look at what's going on. Because I do think that part of what you're saying is true too, is that they probably do know who you are, and they probably just don't want to touch the anti-Christian stuff with a 10-foot pole.
Exactly.
But, I mean,
yeah.
But hold on, but Jimmy
and because I got my YouTube channel banned, not for the right way, and because I got my YouTube channel banned 6 years ago before Zhang even started a YouTube channel, and he starts one and is able to blow up, but he also didn't blow up talking about anything Jews. It was just your run-of-the-mill, regular shit and like normal.
Yeah.
Conspiracies, basically. Okay, anyway, let's go. Last part from this Netanyahu clip.
I don't believe that the Jewish state and modern Zionism would have been possible without Christian Zionism. I think that the many Christian supporters of the rebirth of the Jewish state and the ingathering of the Jewish people in the 19th century made possible the rise of Jewish Zionism. And it's a pleasure for me.
You wouldn't be possible. Israel wouldn't exist without Christianity, and Christian Zionism wouldn't be a thing without Christianity. No Christianity, no Christian Zionism. Who's the most easily transitionable, convertible into Noahides and Zionists? Just regular Christians that believe the Bible. People that already are predisposed believing the Bible. Okay, last one too. I like how it ends here. I have the prayer from this guy.
This country and its future. God,
You guys can watch the whole thing. It's on my TikTok, my Instagram, and Twitter.
And the mission that you've given him, the vision that you've given him, the legacy that you've given him, the stewardship that you've given him.
And so this Christmas, when you pray for Israel and you pray for peace, know that your prayers are really being answered. Peace on earth. Merry Christmas.
Does it not make you a bit uncomfortable that the Christian right here in America, which backs Israel fervently, really does so because they think Jesus is going to return? Many of them believe he will do so in their lifetime. And when Jesus returns, he must return to whence he came. And what he's going to do when he gets there, basically, is convert all the Jews or kill them.
Well, let's argue about that point when it happens, right? But
In other words, he doesn't fear Jesus at all. He promotes it, and he knows he's never going to come back and save you. Rabbis are 0% worried about Jesus floating down from the cloud and messing up with their Messiah and their messianic plans, because they know it's fake. That's why.
It's funny. In one of the rabbi clips, he was live streaming this morning. These guys are like live streaming every day, and I have it so my YouTube sets notifications for me when they go live because I can ask questions in the chat. And I asked one of them this morning. I said, "Did you know that Jesus is midrash?" And he goes, "Ha ha ha! That's a funny thought." And he just kept going and just totally ignored it. I was hoping he was going to give me like a better reaction, but it's funny to see that. I wonder if we could really red pill the rabbis on the midrash question, right? I think some of them know. I think so many of them know.
They do. I've got a few of them saying it. A few have said it that it's midrash.
Yeah, I think a few of them know, but it's like to get to that level of knowing, like they're totally bought in, right? So they're not going to see it the way we see it. They're going to see it like, part of God's divine plan, sort of thing. Like, really, it makes sense within their story. Their sages and scriptures are what brought the Torah to the world through Jesus. So it makes sense.
Ready?
Christianity, all right, like much of mystical Judaism, is built upon a fundamental, I don't want to call it a mistake, so I don't want to sound offensive or insulting in any which way, but Christianity was built out of Judaism on Jewish midrash. And that becomes very clear and evident. For example, if you look at the actual teachings of Yeshu as the historical individual that he was, even in his own day.
Wrong. It's not he's doing midrash. His identity and character is a product of midrash. So almost gets it. It's almost like, I don't know how he can think this, that Jesus is doing midrash. It's because the character of Jesus is midrash from scripture, but it's just a fictional character. All right.
And they quote from those mystical Jewish books all the time, by the way. I was all the time. The Ascensions of Isaiah, Book of Enoch, things like that. I've been noticing it more and more when I'm watching these rabbi clips, is they're aware of the, what I would call like the extra biblical stuff that, Jesus was used to form out of. The Son of Man and all these other things. I was just watching a rabbi quote from the Book of Enoch. They don't say, "Oh, this is part of the Bible." He literally says, "Oh, this is a book that we didn't use, but here it is. Still, this was something that Second Temple Jews would have known about." And you know what I mean? So they know about the outside the Bible sources themselves, which is what I would call is like the final missing piece of the puzzle, right? Like Paul and all the things that you go over in your book, right? That all makes sense. But it's really when you bring in the outside the Bible literature and show the rest of the missing puzzle pieces that shows that it was midrash.
Gringoran Soldier sent $5. You burned bridges by spurging out on Moo Duggan. Jeff stole your thunder and made it kosher. Dawson could link you. Presented your book to Jimmy in a good matter. Amalek, we did super chat Jimmy, but Adam went full diva and refused to contact him.
They refuse to contact me. You're the one reaching out to them. I've heard a million times people have super chatted or messaged Kurt Metzger. He knows Gnostic Informant too. I've been in the replies of them some. I never get a follow back, never get anything. So clearly they're not interested. Clearly, Zhang, who just exploded 1 million followers and is like at 2 million followers on YouTube and loved by the algorithm when I got banned years ago for covering a lot of these same things, at least some of the controversial stuff. So do the math. He gets promoted on every Russia-linked disinfo slop channel. And they all attack me and ignore me, so just do the math. Try to put it together.
Also, I gotta say, as somebody who like goes after Christianity, one of the things I've learned personally, like the last 2 years, is that essentially you have to be like Adam. You have to basically like be a porcupine, and you have to be very annoying, or you just are gonna give up. I'm sorry to say, like if you were whoever the super chatter is, I don't remember who that was. If you were doing what we're doing and how this is going down, it's like constant attack from these people and from this thing. And if Adam didn't like assert himself against these guys, against people like Zhang, and against stuff like the Jimmy Dore takes and against Kurt Metzger's takes, these types of things that we're against, if he didn't assert himself against them, he would have pieced out long ago. We have to be able to express this stuff, or it's just like I said earlier, it's going to turn into feckless, stupid, peasant bullshit.
Yeah, Jimmy Dore is like hanging out with Stu Peters and shilling Candace every day. Like, and you're acting like it's my fault that I didn't get an invite on the show.
I don't think the bridge is
give me a
burned.
break.
I just think that the premise of the question itself is wrong. I think that what's going on is this is how you influence people, is you clash against them. They might reject it at first. They might hate you at first. They might be an enemy at first. But eventually, when you're right and when the truth's on your side, you can wear those people down. This is what the alt-right back in the day did with the JQ to the alt-light. Okay, is they wore the alt-light down with the JQ, who they didn't want to talk about it. Oh, that doesn't matter. Oh, you guys are, all you guys want to talk about is Jews, Jews, Jews. And now look, fast forward to 2026. Who won? Oh, that's right, the group that was more willing to do what Adam's doing. So I understand your point of view. I don't think the bridge is burned. I think what you're seeing is how ideas win in the public space.
So of course everybody is saying still, not everybody, but lots of the usual suspects are still saying that this latest press conference with Bibi is AI. Again, still in denial. They're just going to keep doubling down forever, apparently. I thought this was funny, this screen. He literally walks into the room beforehand.
Dude, the sleeve thing makes me want to die.
Yeah. They're focusing on a sleeve where he like stretches his arm out a little bit, and then his jacket comes up, and you can see the white of his sleeve. The sleeve drops down a bit, and they're like, "Oh, it's all a."
They've literally never worn a suit. It's crazy. It's insane. People are like, "Oh, you don't see it." Dude, the suit gets bunched up at your elbows, and when you straighten your arm out like that, it slowly slides down your arm, guys. This is what's called wearing a suit.
Yeah, it happened several other times in the stream, in his stream too.
Dude.
Wait, so Jackson Hinkle, the little Russian agent Duganist, get 90,000 likes, says he's still dead. So they're just crushing, they're winning. He's basically announcing himself as Messiah, son of David, a global power, 100%. Fulfilling all their prophecies, and we're busy. The number one objection is, we're really winning, and he's dead, and this is AI, and they're cooked, and we're trust the plan. So it's fucking stupid. Also, the way they zoom in on it, it's missing that you could see the rest of his sleeve up here and elbow moving.
Yeah, the first one that posted this clip, because like I said, I watched this happen. Yeah. I was watching this live while you were streaming, and I found one of the first people to post this like this was an account from India, by the way. Another account from India was one of the first ones to post this, because I posted like a oh brother or something like that as soon as I saw it come out.
Yeah. Oh no, I shouldn't burn bridges with Hinkle, right? Hinkle had Professor Zhang on too. I exposed that. I'm like, I see what's going on.
At the same time, just to give that guy some, if Jackson Hinkle emailed you and said, "Hey, I've heard you're talking about the prophecy stuff, and you're the guy to talk to about it. Can you want to come on my show and explain it to me?" You should go on that.
Oh, I would, yeah.
Exactly, right? So you can do both things, is what I'm saying. That's actually how you're supposed to do it. That's how you're supposed to win ideas out. So it's not a bridge burning. It's actually kind of that's how you kind of invade other ideas. Is I guess a good way to put it.
Dude,
And-
walks into the room
Dude,
and
this is
says,
so-
I'm alive.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's aware of the dialogue, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay,
There's
look
no
at this.
question
So,
about it. He and his guys, he is tapped into what's going on the internet. There's no question about it.
look at this. Alex Trayman, Jerusalem Jewish News Syndicate, JNS. Look at his face. Okay. This is his vantage point over on the right side of BB taking photos. Oh, these are all AI too, right? I'm sure these must be all AI. He gets to ask the question on CNN to him. Jackson Hinkle gets 90,000 likes still saying this is fake. He's not this stupid. This is an op, guys. This is clearly an op to keep everybody retarded. And look, this guy also shared it. Zach Onders from Newsmax. He's on the other side of the room, and look who he sees. There's the other dude that just did the question and took the photo from the other side. You're telling me all of this is AI? Guess who else is saying it? Ben Swan, the guy that had the show on RT and other media ventures with rich Russians. He's still saying it's AI too.
But then there's
I'm alive, and you're all
This
witnesses.
is basically
more
like
that we're
what
talking about
Iran and Russia views as like their way of fighting back against this guys. That's what we're
Right.
viewing. We're seeing
Yeah,
the
we're at war, and this is war propaganda to make us retarded. Yeah.
Yes, exactly what you're just gonna say. This is the 2026 version of war, guys. Right? War. What we're watching right here is the other side, Russia and Iran, making Americans think retarded shit. Okay, because then they won't be able to actually deal with the problems and deal with the things. I think what they in the same way that we're trying to get Iran to collapse with blowing it up and bombs and things like that, they're trying to get America to collapse through making us retarded. Like that's
This is subverting opposition to Israel is what it is.
Yeah, if the opposition to Israel believes that Bibi is dead and that every video produced by him and everything he says is AI or insulting Jesus, then guess what? Then Bibi wins. This is how Russia is Zionist, right? They're kind of like the left-handed path to Zionism, if that makes sense.
Communist cover. You know how the left provides cover for the right? They're covering for Israel with this retarded opposition.
Well, hold on, this is the traditional role of Russia with Israel. This was their role in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and even, not so much the 90s because of the history there. It was a little different, and like the Russian oligarchs and their relationship with Israel was complicated. But this is the traditional role Russia has played in the basically like anti-Israel, pro-Arab kind. A lot of the Arab nations had friendly relationships with the USSR, and this is what the USSR was giving them. This kind of stuff, right? This type of controlled op ideology. Khazar theory, things like that. That's where it comes from, guys. So we are just seeing the 2026 version of that information war.
Yep.
So that's someone has to talk about it, guys. Because guess what? None of the real conservatives are, quote unquote, are actually talking about this either.
Hold on, Emma.
$20 I'm alive.
Thank you, Habs.
Is just 24/7 nonstop at this point. Literally to make us retarded. Happy Friday at least.
And then people will be like, "Oh, you're bots. You're an op. You're covering up 7,000 blah blah blah." They'll call us working for the Jews when I'll do a thread showing all of these guys that were wrong the last week about this death hoax in AI videos, and it gets 100 likes.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, all of their posts, it's like 90,000, 100,000. Which one's the op, guys? Come on, get real.
And when I posted that video the other day that said that Mashiach was coming Thursday, I had tons of Muslims and tons of Christians and tons of foreigners retweeting and reacting to that clip. And guys, I'm looking at their accounts, I'm looking at the locations. They're from foreign countries. They're all illiterate retards. They're saying the craziest, so basically we literally have like foreigners with cell phones in foreign countries, like gaslighting our people into thinking that look,
or bot farms.
Everyone's waking up. It could be either or. It doesn't really matter, right? Because it's producing the same outcome, which is everyone's like, look, we're waking up. Look, that tweet about Bibi got 10,000 likes. 9,000 of them are from like Cairo, you fucking idiot. Like,
Bangladesh.
Yeah. Oh my! Okay. I just had somebody from Bangladesh. Yeah, dude. Yeah. Literally.
So he was one of the big pushers of Pizzagate too. So there's a thread going back 10 years of promoting discrediting stuff that's distracting. Ready?
Bibi Netanyahu is alive, the more I start to think he's dead, because every time he shows up in public, it's clearly AI. Now look, today, Netanyahu came out and held a press conference. Proof
We
that he
beat
was
Bibi
alive.
in heaven.
He said to the world, this is proof. Here's the problem. There are at least 2 major AI mistakes here. The first one, it's been getting a lot of attention online, is his sleeve. Watch here as he puts his hand
Dude, again, zoomed in so they don't see that his upper body, he like straightens his arm out a little bit. It adjusts. You can see his jacket like, moving a little bit up here even too. Guys, the idea of like the sleeve, your undershirt showing more or less through your jacket when you're moving your arms up on the table and stuff is just absolutely retarded. His sleeve of his jacket was underneath his wrist a little bit on the, what do you call this thing at the front?
Podium
at the front of the podium. He adjusts a little bit. It drops down a tiny bit. You slow it down in super 1 frame a second. Dude, we just showed you them walking in, people taking questions, photos from both sides of the room. All the other AI shit has been stupid too. You're just fucking lying.
No,
this dude is a fucking fraud. Fuck this guy.
I agree. So I agree. I just want to say something to like a certain number of people who are in the middle on this. Now, I just want to say this. If I go into the world of saying this is AI and what's the purpose and, because I've seen people just saying like, well, something's weird about this or something's weird about that. I'm not saying he's dead, but they're clearly putting AI. If that's true, if that is true, the purpose is what we're seeing is to drive everybody retarded and fuck with us. If they really did use some sort of like weird AI filter to make that sleeve come out like that, the purpose is what we're talking about anyway. So it doesn't really matter. That's what I would say to those people. Now, I don't think it's AI. I do think it's authentic. I don't think those people are right. But if you are seeing it in that, you still have to just come to our side on this and just be against this thing. You have to, because what they're the purpose of the AI psyop would be to literally do what it's doing, making everybody basically become retarded and insane. And
okay, it's a lectern. Yeah. Oh, dude, this is like flat Earth tier level. Complete schizophrenia.
Actually, just maybe.
But it's not. It's deliberate ideological subversion and trying to, like Yuri Bezmenov, like Rain says in the chat, demoralizing. They can't know it's true. Their perception of reality is completely skewed, and it's because of Russian shills like this guy pushing it. Oops. It's clearly AI. Clearly
it's AI. This is not real. It's also highly suspicious that there are no reporters to be seen in any of the shots. He's merely talking to reporters he can't see, and then they seem to be in another room where they're responding back to him.
No.
There's another part.
They were in the same room.
Very, very bizarre. Netanyahu starts to talk about the fact that Jesus Christ, he says, cannot overcome Genghis Khan. That Genghis Khan, because he was cruel to the world, because he was violent, he actually would overcome Jesus. A bizarre.
Bro, that's not what he was saying.
Obviously, just from a biblical perspective, that doesn't make sense because the whole point of Christianity.
What do you mean? Jesus got crucified by Rome, dude. What do you mean, biblical sense? It doesn't make sense. What are you talking about, dude?
They've never like read the book of Job. Like they're totally clueless about their own lore. They're totally clueless. It's like a super fan for like Newcastle who's never watched a game or something. This is crazy.
Yeah, I want to see his point here, dude. Let's finish this. Is it really going to be this bad?
Shit.
Even from a biblical perspective, like Jesus could conquer all the kings.
From a biblical perspective, that doesn't make sense because the whole point of Christianity is to believe that good overcomes evil, that evil does not ultimately win out in the end, that good does, and that the person of Jesus represents this. From a historical standpoint, it's also untrue because over time, while Genghis Khan is just a footnote in history, Jesus himself is the most influential human in all of history who did not lead a revolution, who was not violent, who did not try to kill anyone and gave his life ultimately and dies. So,
yeah, how many people did Genghis Khan kill? Did believing in Jesus and love and peace save any of those people from every conqueror killing lots of people before? This is so dumb.
Set that part aside. But then
if Christians would have had their way, Genghis Khan literally would have went all the way to France and Iberia. What saved the world from Genghis Khan was real men, real people standing up
and
fighting against the Eastern hordes.
Yeah, the only reason that Genghis Khan didn't take over the whole world is because people stood up to him, not because people believed Jesus could beat him or was more powerful than him in heaven.
They were slowed down in the east. Like that's what happened. They could have kept going. They would have went right through the Carpathians, right into and it's not just the Mongols. That's the other thing too. This is just talking about just the Mongols. There's like 24 different what I would call like Central Asian tribes, horse warriors who swept in from the east, who Christians said was the end times. They didn't do anything about it. Like that's the whole story of how Turkey became a thing. Was the Turkic migrations came in from Central Asia. They took over what was basically like Persia or the falling part of the Arab Empire. Okay, they basically supplanted it, and then remnants from that Seljuk Empire, those Turks, just completely like raped and destroyed Greek Anatolia that had been Greek for generations and generations and generations, going back to basically like the beginning of civilization. That whole area of Asia Minor, Anatolia, was conquered by Muslim Turks. And the whole time that was going on, the Byzantines, the Eastern Roman Empire, and all the Christians were saying the exact same thing. Oh, look, the Turks are the Turks. It's the end times. Oh, Jesus is going to come back and save us. The whole thing. So the whole premise is stupid. The whole premise is stupid. This is the problem, that we're always doing this. Putting our geopolitics in the frame of the book of Revelation is itself causing us to basically have this geopolitical malaise about how we're viewing everything.
Yep. Look at this. It gets even worse than the supposed AI sleeve.
We'll set that part aside. But then watch here in this video, you can see where Netanyahu puts his hand on the podium, and again, where his thumb was, it grows into another finger.
Oh my God. Grows into another finger? You mean the reflection on the wood there? Grows into another finger? Are you kidding me?
Again, where his But then watch here in this video, you can see where Netanyahu puts his hand on the podium, and again, where his thumb was.
Dude, that is so clearly the reflection.
I have no idea what's going on. No idea why
Gringo
these
Insulter
videos
sent $5.
seem to
I'm
be
mad
AI.
that it should have been you, not Jang on Tucker right now, but you didn't put the effort. Your community put
Neither did he.
Making your book a bestseller. Super chat Jimmy, but you refused to reach out to him when you had direct avenues to.
I can't. How do I reach out to him? Are his messages open? Dude, do you not realize that? Hold on. Big influencers get people trying to get on their show all the time, right? Do you think they like to be irritated and trolled saying, hey, have this person on, have this person on, have this person on? I doubt it. That's probably a good way to not get on with a lot of people.
Hold on. The way they do their show is they have a girl, they have a cute like redhead girl who's like their producer for that stuff, who does all those things. So they literally have like an email inbox that can be emailed. But hold on, guys. Again, Adam should not be reaching out. That's not how that thing should be done. Like you guys have to ask for him to be on there. That's what I would say.
Sent $5. I super chatted about Adam to Dore a few times. I wasn't aware Dore talks about Dugan. I watch Dore and he usually talks about Young and Fro.
I'm not sure that he talked about Dugan. I didn't say that.
To be fair, Dore has been doing comedy for 30 years also.
Yeah.
The guy.
White X Pilled sent $20 on Rumble. Come on, guys. Don't let a Christian out donate you to help Adam keep doing this.
Thank you, White Pixel. And also, it's like Jimmy Dore. That's like I see that as like a huge platform. I'd be happy to get on people with like a fifth of his size. Even though there's so many endless conspiracy podcasts and other influencers, they don't want the smoke. They don't want to alienate Christians. Dore maybe not.
It's like 50-50. I think I like I said, I mean, I've been telling you since you and I began talking a lot. I mean, one of the first
I don't want to keep talking about Jimmy Dore either. Yeah. Also, I got stuff to cover, and it's just like
yeah.
I don't know why this is the third thing about Jimmy Dore.
Yeah, that guy, like I hear you. Like I've been trying to convince Adam and talk to Adam about it for a long time. It'll happen, guys. Like just.
Also, we're assuming like, oh, okay, I go on there and I do the spiel. Like, you think everything's gonna change, or is the audience just gonna be like, oh, Paul Ehrman says, or oh, that's anti-Semitic, or but the consensus of scholars, like, it'll probably just be that shit, or it'll be like, oh, Christ is king, you're antichrist, like normal everywhere else on the internet.
I see. I think you're right with that a little bit, but at the same time, I do think his audience is like primed in a special way for your message, and I can't even really explain it to you.
It's a big platform with a secular message. I would say like Joe Rogan. Yeah. You would think Joe Rogan would, but he only shills Jesus down, has Christian apologists on.
Well,
all right.
Every time he shows up
more
and
Jimmy
makes a public
Dore.
appearance, it's another AI video. Maybe he's dead, maybe he's not. But the fact that these videos keep being released and they're getting better, but still not perfect, still raises.
And notice how all these videos like this, they put this music to it.
Mm-hmm. Just totally wrong. And then he tries to do the little disclaimer at the end, saying, "Well, maybe he is alive, but these are all fake." I saw them doubling down. They're like, "Okay, I guess he's alive, but like, why were all the videos AI then? Why are they using all this AI videos?" It's like they weren't AI. You're just fucking making shit up about foam and disappearing rings and too many fingers. None of that was AI. You guys were schizo from the start. Don't ever let these idiots live this down either. All right.
Sharing with you all those possible. It is often said that you can't do revolutions from the air. That is true. You can't do it only from the air. You can do a lot of things from the air, and we're doing, but there has to be a ground component as well. There are many possibilities for this ground component, and I take the liberty of not sharing with you all those possibilities.
Rochelle sent $5. Jimmy Dore is AI, I think.
He might be. So, of course, there's going to be ground troops, not just Israel, but America. Clearly. That's what Netanyahu just said there. Here's, you know what?
Costs, the high costs in general. Tom Sufi Burridge, ABC News. Prime Minister, given the escalation of attacks on US allies across the Gulf, given the spiraling energy costs, the high costs in general, the US service personnel killed in this war, many Americans are asking that question, whether you misled their government into starting this war, and for how long should Americans keep paying the price?
Well, I misled no one. And I didn't have to convince President Trump about the need to prevent Iran from developing its nuclear program, putting it underground, and being able to launch nuclear-tipped missiles at the United States. He understood that. He explained it to me. I didn't explain it to him. The combination of fanaticism, deep ideological lunacy, there's no other way to call it, the total and utter ruthlessness of this regime makes.
You're right, Jack Stone. There's no denying they're amplifying the mass psychosis that's already there. They're radicalizing the kooks and weaponizing the retards that are already out there doing their thing, amplifying the bullshit.
Yeah, people keep saying to us like, "Oh, that people are always just retarded." It's like, no, they're making it worse, and that's the point of it, right? Like that's
his ally. Questions, I can only tell you this. Look, I don't think any two leaders have been as coordinated as President Trump and I. He's the leader. I'm, his ally. America is the leader. Israel is, as the National Security Memorandum described us, I think a month ago, 6 weeks ago, I think, something like that. They called Israel the model ally. Questions, I can only tell you this. Look, I don't think any two leaders have been as coordinated.
So coordinated leaders. You knew that electing Trump was electing Bibi and Chabad Lubavitch, right? I tried to warn everybody before 2024. Only now I had the rabbi clip. I found the rabbi clip of him saying Trump's anointed to serve Israel and all this stuff, right, and fulfill their prophecies. Nobody cared when I put it out in 2024. Now Ian Carroll and everybody, all the big accounts are all sharing the video. 2 years too late.
Well, he also says in the video or in that speech, he said a couple of things that were interesting, but one of the things he didn't have the clip for, but it's fine. He says essentially, what is everyone talking about? I didn't force Trump to do anything. Trump has been saying this to me for years. I remember back in the 80s when I first talked to Trump, he came up to me and he said, we got to get rid of the Iranians. And then when he became president, the first thing he said to me when I first visited him, when he was president the first time, was we got to get rid of the Iranians. Trump has always had this idea. And you know what's crazy about that is he's right. That's what
Well, he
Trump
still
has
probably got it from the Jews, though. He's been in with the Jews since the 80s.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, hold on. This is the problem, right? Is that people are like, look, Bibi's controlling him, making him do what he wants. But that's actually not how Jews operate. The way Jews operate is they convince you to do it. You know what I mean? He's been convinced. He earnestly thinks that he's, fighting the enemies of the world.
He wants to. He's in on it. He's an accomplice. He's complicit. It's not being controlled. He's down with the Jews and the Jewish cause.
And this is obviously what the whole purpose of Trump has been. I would say, I mean, since the very beginning, before the political stuff even, right? Like his whole brand from the beginning seems to have been based on this thing. This was, a preordained plan, or however you would describe this thing. His family has been in lockstep with these people since the creation of the state of Israel, his father and things like that. So I think this has just been what they've been doing with him. He is in a way like a Manchurian candidate, right? Like he really is. And the Iran issue has been his primary vector for it.
In this clip, Christian apologist explains what Christianity did to Rome from Need More Amalek. Oh, another banger clip confirming and validating exactly what we always say. 42 likes. Ignored by everybody. The Christians aren't going to share the videos that expose them, clearly.
Well,
so they're
crazy.
they just end up covering up so much stuff.
Well, this is what I'm trying to explain to people who aren't Christian. They basically think like, oh, you guys are talking about a conspiracy. What does it matter? Oh, we're never going to fix this. All these other things. But what I'm trying to tell these people is even under, like, this is a Christian apologist pretending to be a biblical scholar. That's who this guy is. And even themselves, they see it this way and understand it this way. And it's all you have to do is look at it from our lens, like from the secular lens, and you see it. So we're not trying to change any of their words or take them out of context or anything like that. That's what he's about to say. You'll see. This video was crazy when I first saw this.
I remember this guy was on Daily Wire. I covered him last.
The internet, right?
With that Pints for Aquinas guy. He's on Daily Wire again, too. Because Ben Shapiro is so scared of Christianity and Christians.
Jews, not all Jews necessarily, but many Jews in the first century AD would have recognized that in terms of the timeline, the kingdom of God is supposed to come during the fourth kingdom, and that's the kingdom of Rome. It's the Roman Empire. It's going to smash that kingdom, leave it in ruins, and grow up and become a great mountain that fills the whole earth. That's the other thing. It's going to start out really small. Maybe, I'm trying to think of an analogy, maybe like a mustard seed.
Very good.
It's like the smallest of seeds. Maybe even start out with like 12 guys from Nazareth. Yeah, it's going to become
pause real quick.
A great mountain
That's literally the point of that metaphor, retard. That's literally what they're doing in that part of the Bible. That's literally what the whole purpose, like that's what they're saying in that our church is going to start small as a mustard seed with just 12 guys and blah, 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 blah. And he's pointing to that and being like, look, we did prophecy. Look, it fulfilled prophecy. It's exactly like the part in your book where you talk about how prophecy operates. They made the world reflect prophecy, and now they're pointing to that world as proof for prophecy.
Yeah, self-fulfilling.
And he obviously sees it that it spiritually conquered the world. He literally sees it that the Jews who created Christianity were awaiting for a force that would come and conquer Rome and turn it to ruins and spread to the world. That's what he said there.
Yeah, this part.
Yeah, they were basically Jews were awaiting for this figure.
Yeah, the Messiah was supposed to come and save the Jews and conquer Rome. And in that, what did Jesus do? Conquered Rome. And the Jews have been saved. They lived under his shadow in exile among the foreign people and survived, and now are more powerful than ever. Returned to the land thanks to the help of Christianity. And now their greatest accomplices and protectors and defenders and discredited, controlled opposition, all Christianity. The Klipa shell protecting them in exile.
God is supposed to come during the fourth kingdom, and that's the kingdom of Rome. It's the Roman Empire. It's going to smash that kingdom, leave it in ruins, and grow up and become a great mountain.
Smash that kingdom, leave it in ruins, and become the great Catholic Church that spread Judaism and the Messiah all over the world.
Very good.
It's like the smallest of seeds. Maybe even start out with like 12 guys from Nazareth. Yet it's going to become a great mountain that fills the whole earth. And where's it going to spread from? The ruins of the fourth kingdom, which is Rome. Why do you think Peter and Paul beelined it for Rome? You ever thought about this? I mean, on a practical level, you might say, well, if you...
Isn't this so funny?
Yeah.
So
Why would they beeline it for Rome? To go subvert Rome and bring it down, maybe?
So I just want to juxtapose something real quick.
Yeah.
So there's this, right? So this is a Christian scholar who sees it basically the way we're talking about, right? It spiritually conquered Rome. It spiritually destroyed Rome. That's what he sees it. And then if you look at the other side, let's just take Carrier, for example. He does the same thing. Oh, it was a political force that was meant to be nonviolent resistance, nonviolent revolution against Rome. So both sides of scholarship see it this way, but they don't have this lens where they understand.
The rabbis say it too. So rabbis say it, Christians say it, Nazis say it, secular atheists say it. Everybody says it. But then when we say it, like they call us, Jews or Nazis from both sides.
You're saying that they had 2,000-year-old plan that they were just in the background, like you're missing the point.
Thank you, Sober Jeff.
Sober Jeff.
Yeah, I do need to have Tom on.
At work.
Thank you.
Just wanted to ask if you'd ever do a collab with.
Yes. I'll message him today and give him a time
on European paganism and ancient European ancestors.
Yeah, we'll do that. I usually don't get too much into that stuff, but we can do that.
I like his versions of stuff. I like how he does this thing. Him and Uber Boyo, they both do this thing where they try to connect it to like the myths to the genetics, and I think that's really important that a lot of pagans miss out on, even though I'm not pagan.
Why do you think these Jews beelined it for Rome? I don't know, to go plant a messianic controlled op sect in Rome?
Why do you think Peter and Paul beelined it for Rome? You ever thought about this? I mean, on a practical level, you might say, well, if you evangelize the capital, you evangelize the empire, right? So there's like a earthly strategy that would make sense, right? You want to share the gospel? You get online, you get on the internet, right? Because it's got a big audience. But there's actually a deeper reason there. In terms of prophecy and fulfillment, the two pillars of the church, Peter and Paul, they go to Rome to shed their blood. Blood of the martyrs is the seed of the church. They do it where Daniel said.
They went to Rome to suicide by cop.
Well, I don't even believe those stories. I don't both of their death stories. We don't even know the death of Paul, and Peter is way late.
I mean, the Paul one is obviously fake, but I mean, all of Acts is mythology. I don't think there's basically any truth to it at all.
Pagan_Rain sent $10 on Rumble. Using the key points from your book to green pill my dad. It's
good.
Working.
It should.
For the boomers yet.
That's what I try to write it to, like, green pill normies.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say he says by the blood of the martyrs. So what he's saying is they, like, under his framing, they went there, suicided by cop, and through that martyrdom, that's what basically got it to spread so hard, right? Because they basically, what they did is they tricked a bunch of, like, idiots, I would say. I mean, that's kind of what happened, right? Everyone can see that. I don't know. It's hard to explain, I guess, back then, but that's what they were operating under. The Romans definitely saw it like this, by the way. They would have seen the Christians just as like another sect of Judaism. And at that time, through the 1st century AD, Romans viewed Jews as like, oh, you're Jewish, then that means you're part of this sect of, like, basically like sectarian terrorists, were how they Romans viewed the Jews at that time.
Yeah, they'd be like, who are these Jews trying to get us to worship their Jewish Messiah? That's what the original. And then they're like, now there's Gentiles helping them promote this Jewish Messiah. What the hell? It's like the ginger Muslims promoting Allah in England type of thing. That's how Christianity started.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, oops, I'm lost my thing. Oh,
Real Vision sent 5.
Real Vision.
Why isn't guest a pagan? It means not Abrahamic.
It's fine. It's fine. I'm just agnostic. I identify as agnostic. That's all, guys. It's fine.
All right. Yeah.
We don't have to fight over the word.
It's just a big laugh. They conquered Rome, spread the Jewish Messiah everywhere. And now we got this. Reverend, we just played a clip of the head bishop of America, Catholic bishop, condemning anti-Semitism and conspiracies. Now we got another reverend on all Christians to take a self-audit and to cleanse the Christian tradition from anti-Semitism.
Stand again. I'm grateful today for the wonderful law enforcement that has been done in the leadership of Sheriff Bouchard. I'm deeply grateful for my brothers and sisters in the Jewish community We are here to stand with them and to support them with love and fidelity for all that they are and all who they are. I am going to invite Christians as we move into Holy Week and Easter to engage in a self-audit of our scriptures, of our passages that we rely on to tell the story of Jesus' crucifixion and resurrection, of the practices that we've put in place for generations, to do an audit to make sure that we can cleanse the Christian tradition from anti-Semitism. It has constantly been noted by many scholars over the centuries that there is a subterranean river of interpretation within the Christian faith that...
Calling it a subterranean river is basically referencing hell, by the way.
Really?
He's calling you guys demons. He's calling the anti-Semites demonic when he says that. When you're saying it's like a subterranean river, that's hell.
Yeah, a satanic, evil interpretation of the Bible to hate Jews. That's what he's saying.
As we celebrate the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ, I want to invite Christians everywhere to engage in that careful audit of our basic beliefs. These beliefs, when they are rightly interpreted, see the world as a place where God is redeeming all things, sees the world as broken and beautiful as it is, as a place of hope and faith and love, sees each person as made in the image of God. I invite Christians everywhere to engage in that careful self-audit so that we can stand and interrogate our own beliefs so that we can stand against this rising tide of anti-Semitism.
And we're just going to hear this more and more of Christian leaders 100%. Are going to come out and become the more that the internet says they're the synagogue of Satan, they killed Jesus, the more and more the churches are going to rise up and oppose you. And you're always going to be the vocal, outcasted, excommunicated, powerless minority playing their antithesis.
And like the whole purpose of the Catholic Church, like the thing it does best is just like deal with heresies,
Real Vision
guys.
sent
Like it's been
$5
doing
on
it
Rumble.
since its very beginning.
Adam made this priest his hair flip mogging him.
I mean, this priest is hair flip. Yeah, he's hair flip mogging me. Yeah, he has a. That's funny. Oh God, now look at it now.
But even the most liberal, all the way from the most liberal to the most conservative Catholics have that basically that view essentially. And if their view is even a little bit outside that, like what you could call the anti-Semitic version, they're outside the church. They're schismatic. They're not allowed in. It's so ridiculous. This whole thing is ridiculous. Dude, there's still so much to cover. I don't even know how you're ever going to catch up. It's like you have to just stream for 4 hours. Because there's so many clips still.
I want to show this too. This is the new edit I'm working on. It goes along with the clip we just showed from you, Amalek. Oh shit, hold on. Sorry. Preferences, audio. Shit. Oh, dude. Sorry, guys. Speakers. It was coming out of the wrong speaker.
Rome conquered Jerusalem with weapons, earthly weapons, but now Jerusalem's going to conquer Rome with spiritual weapons.
And we should point out that Christianity did essentially defeat the gods of Rome.
Real Vision
Christianity is a lot
Rumble. 4-hour stream.
I got to take the daughter to painting class, so that's not
Judaism than the ancient paganism of thousands of years ago. Christianity is a lot closer to Judaism than the ancient paganism of thousands of years ago.
Christianity was a useful transition to take people away from paganism towards a monotheistic belief in God.
Through the history of salvation that was experienced by the nation of Israel, you have received the God of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob as your God. You have left Zeus and Athena and Diana and Hera and Astarte behind, and now you believe in the God who created the heavens and the earth.
Christianity is not the worst form of idol worshipping. The worst idol worshipping is when a person... The idol worshipping of the Christians is not as bad as the idol worshippings of Nepal or India and other places.
An empire that was at one point totally pagan becomes essentially 100% Christian. But basically Christianity is imposed upon the native populations in these countries. So for example, the idea of a creator.
Christianity in that respect only now promoted a religion that, even though it's a trinity, obviously they like three better than one, but at least it's not paganism.
At least it's not paganism.
$5 on Rumble. Remember how upset I was when Adam King told me he liked paganism more than Catholicism? Legit lied to us.
I do like it more than Catholicism.
Christianity and the
No, Adam
significance
King.
of Christianity.
Oh, yeah.
Christianity and Islam.
He lied. He may specifically like it more because he's in a unique position online dealing with a bunch of crazy e-crusaders. But he knows in general this is the rabbinical
significance of Christianity and Islam. And the significance is the degree to which they have made a major impact bringing a pagan world to the idea of one God.
Jesus Christ is the instrument of God to bring the good news to the world. He's the instrument of God to bring the pagans out of paganism and into faith in one God. That's the work of Jesus Christ, and that's the work of the Apostle Paul.
To take pagans and to turn them into B'nai Noach, into people, moral, righteous Gentiles.
We believe that Islam...
Okay, you guys get the point. This is going to be the new edit. So all these Christians online that are like, oh, pagans are Jewish psyop, nothing they fear more than Jesus. This will be the fire edit with the fire music to us to respond to. That's what I've been working on.
I like that one.
Want to do an epic one. Epic soundtrack, epic score. To show what they all view the role of Jesus as. All right, here we go. Now here's a few. This could be another mix. See through it all. I'm sure he's working on one. All these Christians and Jews saying if you hate Jews, you hate God.
Getting more shekels in.
Thank you, Habs. Appreciate that.
And I think you have every civilization from Rome to Babylon to Pharaoh to the Nazis to the Spanish Inquisition. I mean, people going down the list of either trying to expel or exterminate the Jewish people. And I think as someone, and this is going right to the punchline, for me at the end of the day, the hatred of the Jewish people, this is lots of years of thinking about this and studying this, the hatred of the Jewish people is rooted in the hatred of the God of the Jews, the God of Judea, the God of Judah, the Lion of the tribe of Judah. And to me, scripturally, it's clear. Like if you go to Zechariah 12, it says, on that day when all the nations on earth are gathered against her, I will make Jerusalem an immovable rock for all nations. All who try to move it will injure themselves. I feel like it says, I will make Jerusalem a cup that sends all the surrounding people reeling. Judah will be besieged as well as Jerusalem. And obviously that hasn't happened because all the nations of the world haven't surrounded Jerusalem yet. And if you look at, here's my encouragement. If you have a proclivity to say the problem with the world is the Jews or the problem of the world is the Jewish state, listen, I think we can have a healthy discussion about what's happening in Gaza. I think we can have a healthy discussion about injustices that might be happening in Judea, Samaria, the West Bank. That's all up for discussion. You want to talk about people who discuss these things, it's Israelis. But to me, this hatred, it's spiritual in nature. There's so much I could say, Billy, and again,
see, it's spiritual. They view it as their spiritual duty to wage war against it. Do you realize that? That's why thinking, oh, we'll just lie and say he's not Jewish, or like we're gonna reform the churches and take back the churches, or this Christ is King, Jews kill Jesus line is like actually gonna take you into the end zone. It's not. They're marching down the field towards the end zone, and you're sitting on the bench about to get cut from the team. It's a good analogy.
Yeah, and there's no structure in place to fix Nostra Aetate. Just in the Catholic way, I see a lot of these e-crusaders like, oh, all the young clergy that are going through seminary, they're all anti-Semitic and they get it, and we're going to take it back, and all these other things. There's no method, there's no movement, there's nothing serious at all going on there that is going to be some sort of like internal long march through the Catholic Church to quote unquote retake it and make it quote unquote anti-Semitic again. That's not happening. You're not getting rid of Nostra Aetate. It's never going to happen.
Again, this is just a really heavy story, but this is a pattern. This is a pattern that has happened throughout human history of the Jews being the scapegoat, the Jews being the problem. And And I think what it is it's just the hatred of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is just furious that God is keeping his covenant to these people.
So cringe.
Not replaced Israel, and I think the church has not replaced Israel, and I think that's a big false theology right now, replacement theology, which basically teaches that all the promises God had for Israel and the Jewish people have been given now to the church. The church has replaced Israel. I think that's nonsense. I think that's heretical, and I'm sorry to see that in the modern church today, and even, not to name names, but even politically, even on the right these days, we're seeing some anti-Semitic discussions. We're seeing things that I've never thought would come out of certain people's mouths, and so I think we're seeing the rise.
So if the opposition to Israel and Jews is rooted in Christianity and Jesus, it's going to be neutralized by the dominant form of Christianity in our culture and institutional Christianity. So it's not going to work. That's the big argument that so many people need to get through their head. It's always going to be neutralized and stamped out, called heretical, excommunicated. You're not turning this ship around.
Well,
it's getting more kosher.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's gonna continue to become more kosher. I think that as biblical literacy increases, so does philo-Semitism. I think that those two things are intertwined with the way the text is built. I think, and you see it in the spin-offs too. You see it in things like Mormonism. I was telling Adam the other day, guys, that he's got to read the Book of Mormon. And if you haven't read the Book of Mormon before and you're in this, you should check it out too. The whole concept, the whole thing that they were doing in the early days, it was all obsessed with Zionism. They basically taught that Jackson County, Missouri was going to be where Jesus comes back and refounds a new temple, sort of thing, and all sorts of crazy stuff. So what I'm saying is the more super fan you get of the Bible, the more like philo-Semitic you become. You see it in things like the Puritans or the Amish and things like that, right? So at a time right now where the reason everyone is so able to have high biblical literacy is because of the internet, right? Like that's what's going on, is a lot of people are getting into the Bible because of the internet. There's just no way to get out of this because it's baked in through Romans 9 through 11. It's baked in because of Galatians and other things like that. It's baked in because it affirms the Hebrew Bible, right? All those reasons. There's no separating the philo-Semitism from Christianity. You cannot just pull it out. You can't just pull out all the positive parts of Christianity, all the things you like, and then
you can't cope and say it's not Judeo and Jesus wasn't Jewish and Christianity's older and stuff.
Biblical literacy will lead to anti-Semitism. I'm doing a thesis on this.
Well, I understand what he's saying. He's basically saying that like us studying the Bible and realizing what it actually is anti-Semitism, right?
That's
kind
funny.
of, and I agree with that too, right? Like I think that that's true too. But that's only because we drop the cope when we look at it, right? When these guys are looking at it, they're seeing it through the lens that you're talking about, but they're coping about it still. So that's why they see it through this kind of retarded anti-Semitic lens.
Look, exactly like we predicted at the beginning of the show, this big account now, big Christian account, 200,000 followers, says he deleted his post earlier because it was pointed out that Netanyahu was quoting an author, something the accounts reposting this clip failed to mention. They edited that part out clearly in an effort to make it appear as though these were his own words. He's making a good point along the lines of evil prevails when good men do nothing. Exactly. 3,000 likes. So see, Christians, now you look like lying frauds. And you're getting dunked on, and you're made looking foolish and taking stuff out of context again. Huge W. These e-crusaders are handing the Jews huge W's every day on silver platters.
Well, it makes people. I mean, like, I'm just gonna be frank. It makes people like Zionists. They see all the retards, right? And they see what's going on. They see the whole thing, and they feel kind of like betrayed. Like, oh, I fell for that clip. It made me look stupid. Now I got to make a post, and it just. Those like thousands of little cuts like that makes people prefer Jews to at least the e-crusaders, right? Like everyone can understand that, and that's just being played out on a societal level. Jones just tweeted out, by the way, about the Genghis Khan thing.
Oh, what did he say?
He's being a faggot.
Oh, really?
Of course.
I thought it could have been he was debunking it.
Breaking video, Jesus Christ has no advantage over Genghis Khan. Netanyahu says Genghis Khan would defeat Jesus, but because he's more powerful. So therefore, the democracies led by the U.S. have no choice but to fight against Iran. And it's him and Harrison Smith talking about hey man, Harrison. Hey, see, oh, that's the other thing too. What Matt said yesterday. Harrison Smith knows what he's doing, guys. Harrison Smith knows that he's lying, and he sees it as a way of fighting against Zionism. He sees what he's doing as fighting. Oh, we're gonna propagandize our side against them. So when Harrison Smith sits here and kvetches and pretends Bibi was talking shit on Jesus, he knows he's bullshitting.
Yeah, just like he knew they were bullshitting about the Ball bank account that Jones been spewing for the last few months.
100% they know.
Of anti-Semitism, because Satan has always tried to inspire people to hate the Jewish people, to hate Israel. That's why the Battle of Armageddon happens in Israel, in the Valley of Jezreel, in the Valley of Megiddo there, along the southern part of the Valley of Jezreel, because Israel is the epicenter of God's plan, redemption for mankind. Jesus was born in Israel. He ministered in Israel. He dies in Israel. He's coming again to Israel because the Bible says that he ascended from the Mount of Olives, and the Bible says he's coming back to the place from which he ascended. So
Dude, Harrison is so stupid. Look at this. He says these people are diametrically opposed to our worldview. Really? You don't think that evil flourishes if good men do nothing? You don't think that you can't just pray to Jesus to defeat an enemy invader or a threat to the world? You have to take action. You disagree with that point? You don't. You don't. And you're totally missing the point of this statement and getting 7,000 likes doing it. Crap. All the lies to shield Jesus that these people
to the
do.
Mount of Olives. So he sets up his kingdom in Jerusalem for 1,000 years. So we're not done with Israel, and God's not done with the Jewish people, that they still play a part in the end times. God even talks about how 144,000 Jews will be saved during the end times, and they will be
Oh my God, you know what's just funny?
as
Hold on, real
modern
quick. I just realized. You know how e-crusaders and Christians always try to like claim Lord of the Rings, and they say like, "Oh, that's a Christian story." Part of what they point to is that message in the books or in the movies as well. It's the idea where Sam is arguing to Frodo, "There's good in this world, Mr. Frodo, and it's worth fighting for," right? And then Gandalf does the same thing in the first one where he's saying, "Oh, we all have to do what's right in the time we're given," right? So it is basically that message is put in the movie, and then e-crusaders will take that and be like, "See, it's a Christian message." So they'll point to that as an example of why it is. It's so funny how you can see that they internally understand the concept, and then they're tricking themselves. They're faking it, right? Like they are believing in their own Plato's noble lie. That's kind of how I see it, is that by believing your own shit, like by believing your own kind of like bullshit, your own propaganda like that, you can't actually see and interact with the reality in the real world. And that's what they're doing. They understand this concept. They fully understand it. They've demonstrated it hundreds of times. And they're just pretending that they don't. It's so pathetic.
To go around proclaiming the good news of Jesus. So there's much written and much still to happen among the Jewish people and the nation of Israel. That's why we should continue to pray for the Jewish people and pray for the state of Israel.
Amen. Wow, you're preaching, Gary. I like it.
$5 on Rumble.
Thank you, Autonomous. Thank you, buddy.
No, it's good because there is
I know
there's
Lord
a
of the
shift
Rings
happening
has Christian stuff in it, but
on the right, let's say,
there is.
And just a lot more, as you said, anti-Semitic or just comments about Israel, not mattering to God when in fact it's clear that there's.
See, so whatever religious anti-Jewish opposition that rises up online, it is just going to, like I've said, mobilize the institutions and the vast majority of all Christians to fight against you and to squash it. But hey, you can go join Joel Webbin or Pastor Anderson. See how much Jews, how much that hurts the Jews in a few decades from now. Going to Joel Webbin's living room church.
Still a plan in place for God to show grace to those people.
And by the way, of course we can
What a deep
disagree with
voice.
some things about the Israeli government. I disagree with some things about my own American government. I still love America. I still love Israel and the Jewish people. And so sometimes people conflate this idea of, well, if they don't like everything the government of Israel is doing, then we got to dismiss all of Israel and they've been replaced by the church. It's just nonsense. And unfortunately, I think it's even demonically inspired.
Yeah.
Demonically inspired.
Strong words.
See?
Strong words. words, but you know
exactly. They feel like it's their spiritual duty to fight the demonic antichrist Christians that are hating Jews in the name of Jesus.
Even
Good luck.
political Zionists can kind of see what this is, what they're saying,
Mm-hmm.
and even if they don't accept it spiritually, they can understand this on like a metaphorical level, right? Like they do see it like that.
You look
So,
at the history and the
this is
pattern of
good.
what Satan has always been about. He hates God's redemption. He hates God's plan of salvation for mankind. And so, you know, salvation came through Jesus, a Jewish Messiah who died for all people, anyone who calls upon the name of the Lord. But obviously, Satan hates that. So he targets the Jewish people. He targets Israel. And that's why you look at the nation of Israel, smaller than the state of New Jersey. And yet it becomes this epicenter of strife and conflict. And I think it's inspired ultimately by Satan.
Inspired by Satan. This is the problem. The big problem with monotheism and Judaism is anybody that doesn't believe it, anybody that doesn't go along with the chosen and the covenant people and bowing down and being a slave to Moshiach, you become Satan. You become the epitome of evil, demonic. So they're justified to do what when they're enemies that doesn't want to believe in Jewish fairy tales? You become the evil Amalek enemy in these religions. It's one of my biggest issues with Judaism, and Christianity has the same exact problem. Continued into them. They share that. The biggest issue I have with Judaism is also found in Christianity.
Real Vision sent $5 on Rumble. This is making me want to hail Satan more. I know it's still Abrahamic though.
And this is why we have seen satanic LARPing going on, is because they want to push back against this. So they go, "Oh, I'll show you. I'll be Satan, or I'll say hail Satan, or we'll call ourselves Amalek or Esau to like own them on this." But yeah, it really is just the controlled opposition in the Judeo drama.
If you do that, like if you adopt the Satanist role yourself, right? You say something like, I don't know, for example, I'm the Antichrist, or we're going to summon the Antichrist. If that's, I understand, like, oh, that's still in the Abrahamic framework. I totally see those arguments, totally get it, totally agree, all those other things. But I will say is as long as you don't believe you are literally doing that yourself, it mitigates a lot of the problems about that, right? Like if you're saying or we're doing the Antichrist, oh, hail Satan and things like that, and you don't actually show reverence to it and you don't actually believe it, it doesn't have the same type of issues. It's when you believe your own propaganda, you believe your own noble lie, it makes it so you can't see reality for what it is, and that's the problem. That's the real issue.
Here's another
What was
one.
that
Another see through it all.
What was that passage where you were talking about how they're part of the covenant, so they're beloved, but they're not saved? Shoot, I'm blanking on the exact reference. I'd never heard that before.
Yeah. You're talking about Romans chapter 11.
Yeah.
And Paul talks about beloved.
Look what it is,
of the gospel. And so that's a really important.
Romans 11. He looks like he's having some work done. Yeah.
I'm running an article right now on the the quote unquote gay Jew who redid Nostra Aetate, and like just kind of debunking that meme that I'm sure all of our guys have seen going around. I'm just taking a post of mine and expanding on it a little bit. And I think one of the next ones I might do is on Romans 9 through 11, because it is so crucial to understanding how this is just baked in. And every time we see these Christians going on, when this discussion's brought up, right, the anti-Semitism question, they go directly to Romans 9 through 11 every single time. It is so important to understand why this is baked into the Bible. It's never going away. You have to basically get rid of Paul. Unless you have a version of Christianity that gets rid of Paul, and that's never happening, guys. It's just not happening. There's no anti-Paul heretic version of Christianity that's coming at all.
And so that's a really important point, because again, what it's saying there is if all Jewish people who don't believe are the synagogue of Satan, then it doesn't make sense. It's Romans 11:28. As regards the Gospels, they are enemies for your sake, but as regards election, they are beloved for the sake of the patriarchs.
Yeah, interesting.
And then it goes on to say, and then Romans 11:29, for the gifts and the calling of God are irrevocable. That's in the context of God's promises to Israel and the patriarchs. Is God's word true? Is it irrevocable? And if it is, how do you call all Jews the synagogue of Satan? But let me just say this to you. If you say, Jason, I like you, but I hate your children, are we going to be friends?
No.
So how can you say you love Jesus, who was the king of the Jews, Jewish according to the flesh, and hate his people?
Right. Well, yeah, or any people for that matter.
Or any people,
You know? Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, you can't even hate any people, let alone Jews.
I know we're almost out of time, but what should we expect? Well, it is the return of Christ that takes center stage in this whole conversation. We haven't talked enough about it. I know we're almost out of time, but what should we expect to see in his return? I think everybody has an image of Christ being, the Lamb of God, meek and mild, and, loving and good Samaritan and golden rule. What's going to be different about him when he comes back?
There's a big difference. His first coming, he was meek and mild, riding on a donkey into Jerusalem, laid down his life for the sins of the world, wept over Jerusalem because they didn't believe in him as Messiah. When we see him come again in Revelation 19, he's riding on a white horse. He has a double-edged sword. I mean, he's coming now as a conquering king. And so very different from his first coming, meek and mild. When he comes again, he comes as a conquering king because he's going to defeat these nations that have come up against Israel and the God of Israel. And he's going to usher in real peace, not the kind of world peace that we pray for and long for, but we're going to get the ultimate peace when he returns as the Prince of Peace. But he comes.
Who?
Nick Land just liked 4 of my tweets in a row. That's funny as shit.
He's a conquering king. And
wow,
that's
is
a
he
big
following
difference from his first coming?
No, not yet.
What do you say to somebody that's like, well, that sounds like, bifurcation, multiple personality kind of stuff? Like, is it a different guy, or is it just, what is it?
The Lord was merciful, but then there comes a point when God is merciful and time runs out. And we need to understand this, because sometimes when we think, well, God is love, surely he wouldn't punish people, he wouldn't bring judgment. But, he is a loving God, but he's also a just God.
Yeah.
And his love was expressed on the cross. His mercy is expressed to me every single day. I am thankful for his grace and mercy in my life every day. But there is a day of accounting for every single one of us too. And in the big picture, there's a day of reckoning for the whole globe. And that's when the Lord returns. So it's not this duplicitous nature. It's just showing the love of God, and eventually now we're going to see at some point the justice of God, and both reveal his perfect character.
Yeah.
Coming down to smite the nations. It's like these Christians don't even know the end time story too. He comes and smites the nations. If anything, he's going to come and they always cite it, he's going to Jesus in the New Testament says whoever was didn't treat his brethren good, something like that, right? They all say, oh, it's who the anti-Semites. Jesus is going to come and smite the anti-Semites, basically, and the replacement theologists.
Well, with the saints too, right? That's who he's coming with his host of saints, which is literally just like the early Christian Jews who were killed.
Okay, this is another one from you. Society should no longer tolerate these charlatans. Let's see.
Out of the church. If you could meet the devil, met him twice. You've met him twice? Personally. I wasn't even a seminarian. I was discerning.
You met the devil twice, bro? You ever met the devil twice?
Middle of the day, it's like noon. I come out of the church, and there's this beautiful, handsome man, custom tailored suit. He's staring at me, and I just was like, weird. So I turned to walk towards my office, and he runs up next to me, and he grabs me by the arm, and he goes, let's get a drink. And I just had chills go up and down my body. I said, get away from me. And then I turned direction and went towards my apartment. I walked through the doors, and the doors closed behind me, and I looked out, and he was just laughing at me. Then a few years later, I was on a vacation visiting an old banker friend down in Miami. She set up a whole luncheon at this place called Nikki Beach, which really isn't appropriate for seminarians or priests. The 2 girls to my right, I knew both of them. They start looking at this guy across. God, look at that guy. He's so handsome. Oh, he's coming over here. And it's him. It's the one that wanted to get the drink. And he walks up and he goes, what are you doing here? I thought you were going to be a priest. This is my territory. You shouldn't be here. When those things happened, God was letting me know, you have no place going to places like that anymore.
Dude, don't go to the beach, Goy. No bathing suits, no beach. No waves.
That was the gayest story I've ever heard, by the way. That was such a gay. How can you get gay? I saw this really cute guy, and he like came up to me, and he like tried to hook up with me, and I was like, no, I don't want to. And then like I was later on like talking to these hotties, and he came up and he was like, no, dude, like you gotta go and love God and Jesus. It's like the gayest.
Yeah. So in other words, you're a closet gay, and you thought some guy was attractive that said, let's go get a drink.
Is that not basically
so it's
what he's
Satan.
saying? Yeah, is that
He's like,
basically not what he's saying?
Yeah, we got a closeted gay exorcist making up fake stories about how he wanted to hook
I need to ask you something, and I need you to tell me the truth. Are you a fag?
And that's what we got to be asking this guy. Is that what you mean here? Tempted by Satan.
But seriously though, like what I said in the post is so true. Essentially, there's policies that governments can have where we don't let people do this type of stuff. Somebody said it to me earlier today, and I'm going to look into it some more. But China is very anti-charlatan. You know what I mean? They don't tolerate this type of stuff. So surely they have policies that they've implemented to keep that stuff from happening. We should just be doing that kind of thing here. Like this guy should not be allowed to do what he's doing. The government should not allow it. This is. In the same way, I have a cure for cancer. This is like I have a cure for spiritual problems.
People that think that they've really met Satan like shouldn't be being featured on hugely popular podcasts. They should be in mental asylums or discredited like loons, not to be taken seriously, at least.
I was just gonna say, if there's gonna be some compromise here, maybe you don't want me, maybe you're someone who doesn't want the government to restrict the religions or something like that. But at the very least, this has to be kept out of politics. Like, there should be no cultural tolerance whatsoever. Like, this wouldn't be tolerated in Europe.
You could meet the devil.
If I would say, like, if one of the leading right-wing political figures sits down with somebody and interview him, they would laugh at this in Europe. And America needs to start treating it like that. It's really
Ben Shapiro signs his checks to bring on this kook to scare you about Satan. And chat says, Satan 100% bang this priest. Yeah, seriously. Or who was it we just covered the other day? Fox News had on the guy that had a coma and met Jesus and went to heaven and stuff. They're always putting this shit in front of you to get you to believe. Oh, but they're trying to destroy it. Nothing they fear more.
You notice how they put the music too? It's so important to put this type of music to the background of this kind of stuff. It really does like affect the way people view the video. It's kind of weird.
Okay, John Hagee, Gog and Magog Wars. Here, we can do this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna post in the chat 3 clips. I don't know if you got them lined up or not, but
I want to do this one. I want to hear this Catholic
with
priest
regard
talk to the PragerU lady. I'll check out your clips.
This very sensitive topic of the retrieval of anti-Semitic tropes and the viciousness that has existed and the anti-Semitism explicitly that has existed within Catholicism and in particular in traditional circles. Let me first put my credentials on the line here. I am a priest who celebrates both forms of the Mass. I celebrate the Latin Mass on a regular basis in my parish. I'm an Orthodox Catholic priest. I believe.
Oh, so much for based Catholic or Latin Mass, right? Oh, it's not the same.
In all the teachings of the Church, even those that are uncomfortable for me to live from time to time. But that's what the law of God is. It makes us uncomfortable. And that's a good thing. Having said that, there is in the history
1.5
of Catholicism a tension between the Jewish idea or the Jewish community and the Christian community. It should come as no shock to you that I believe Jesus is the Messiah. It should come as no shock to me that you don't. and that begins a conversation. I mean, how do we resolve this? We either resolve it by fighting with one another, or we resolve it by talking with one another, by dialoguing with one another. From an authoritative view, from the Catholic traditional point of view, a council of the Church has pronounced in its document Nostra Aetate that anti-Semitism is completely unacceptable, that replacement theology is unacceptable, that what we believe is that we are siblings to one another, that Christianity cannot be Christianity without Judaism. It's absurd to think that
siblings like Jacob and Esau. Yep. Catholic Church. And even the supposed base Catholic priest, he was like, it's like it goes up and down. Catholic Church, just like the rabbis say. Esau and Jacob, up and down, the cosmic battle.
In fact, one of the earliest heresies of the church, the first person to try to canonize the New Testament was a man by the name of Marcion. He was a priest. And he was the first one. This is in the late first, early second century. He began to compile the Gospels and some of the letters from Paul, but he edited them. And what did he edit out of the Gospels and from Paul? All reference to the Jewishness of Jesus. Now, why would he do that?
That's not true.
Was what we call a Gnostic. Gnostics believe that the material world is intrinsically evil, and that the only thing that is good is the kind of disembodied world. That there's a demigod and there's the eternal God who is fully spiritual. Christianity, like Judaism before it, rejects that notion. It believes that the world is good, that God made the world. That God,
for us
yes,
to live in.
He puts us in the garden, not in a jungle.
Jack
garden,
Stone has
puts
done
us so that
good,
we will.
I don't know the exact part. Jack Stone's done good part. It was like 2 years ago we went through and found this, but because we had a lot of Marcionites in the spaces and things like that, and we went and found. But in the Pauline letters from Marcion's Bible transcript, or from Marcion's edits, in the Pauline letters, it still includes parts in saying that Jesus is Jewish. This is not true.
But he did remove a lot of them, though, the references to Old Testament
100%,
prophecy.
100%. Yeah, all that stuff is still true.
It was a cope. It was just like the people today trying to say Jesus is Aryan and wasn't Jewish, right? It was the first century cope about that. Already, not even 100 years, and people are, or maybe it was 100 years, people are already trying to say Jesus wasn't Jewish.
Yeah, and I think that there's two things here. First of all, Marcion, in my view, was likely a Jewish person. We don't know that for sure, but where he was from was a heavily Jewish area. He knew the scriptures extremely well, and there's other reasons, but it doesn't matter. What I would say about him is that all of the things that we have from him are written from his enemies afterwards, like way after him, okay? Writing against him. And so we don't actually really know what Marcion himself believed, right? If that makes sense. It would be like if in, a generation or two from now, all you had about us was people complaining about us. You know what I mean? That would mean that, you're
tweets claiming about what I supposedly say and believe, right?
Exactly, right. That's what we have from Marcion. So like what I would say, like a better scholarly position from Marcion is to say, like, we don't actually know what he believed himself, and that a lot of it could be like later polemics against what I would call like anti-Semit, early church anti-Semitism, right? So it's almost like they're making the heretics of their time Marcion, like they're putting Marcion through that lens, if that makes sense.
And the garden, we work. The first calling to the human family is a vocation to work, enterprise,
and to enjoy the fruit.
Oh my God, dude! Look at this guy that's doing videos with Joel Webbin.
Oh, I know. This guy's such a fucking moron. He's such a
9,000 likes. Look, one day the church will finally realize that Jews hate Jesus and that Christian Zionism is the perfect demonic perversion of Christianity. Yeah, dude, the church doesn't know the gospel story about the conflict between Jesus and the Pharisees. Yeah, one day they'll learn about it, bro, and then everything will change, and it'll be just like your version.
Same thing with the Talmud stuff. They pretend like they don't know what's in the Talmud. Like Jews can perfectly explain away all of the Talmud stuff when they just talk to people normally.
Look at
not all the
apostate.
I'm sorry.
Look at Zionist.
Jesus.
Zionist prophet says the church is mostly not stupid, which is why the church will not fall for dumb propaganda like this.
Fruits of the work.
Exactly, to be able to keep the fruits of your labor and to enjoy the fruits of labor and to share the fruits of labor.
Oh, dude, when the church figures out that Jews don't believe Jesus is divine, oh boy, it's all going to be over once they find that out, right?
It's so funny. And this Catholic just said something funny. The Pope tweeted something out the other day that was like very communist-esque, and he's doing it right now, talking about labor and sharing the fruits of the labor. So funny.
Marcion does this, and the church immediately rejects Marcion's notion because it says, no, wait a minute. The Blessed Mother was Jewish. She was a Jewish mother. Jesus was Jewish. Everyone who wrote.
Not according to Jake Shields.
Were all Jews. And we can't understand Christianity without understanding Jewishness. So that that this notion, this retrieval, pulls from Christianity those remnants of this earlier heresy. It states truths. Heresy is not only error. It is a truth gone mad. That's what G.K. Chesterton called it. A truth gone mad. So the truth is that Jesus Christ is Lord. He's King of the universe. Where it goes mad is where you have to then think you need to build a theocracy. And the truth is that Jesus is the Messiah, according to the Christian revelation. Where it goes mad is where it rejects the people of the covenant, the people to whom God entrusted.
It's so interesting that you use that term because so many people have come to me and said, well, what's going on? It just feels like people are going crazy.
Yeah.
They're saying crazy things. I mean, just intuitively, people don't have the background that you have, but they're.
What?
Oh,
She talks too fast for 1.5.
She's saying that everyone's going crazy, right? So like basically what's happening is real Christians are observing what we're talking about, where people are just going nuts and they don't even understand reality or anything like that. And then so they're looking under like, what's all this anti-Semitism stuff? They look under the hood. Oh, it is legitimately crazy people. I forgot I was clipping something up before you called me earlier, and I just remembered. We're done here. I gotta finish posting this. It's a clip from it doesn't matter. Go ahead.
Going on. It just feels like people are going crazy.
Yeah.
They're saying crazy things.
They are.
I mean, just intuitively, people don't have the background that you have, but they're getting a sense that something crazy is going on.
Oh, yeah. It's obvious it's going on. I mean, and some, without naming names, although I could, some very obviously and publicly going crazy and getting clicks for it, earning money for it. This is where the technology, when it's not guided by reason, is deleterious. So what do we do when we see people publicly disintegrating psychologically? I mean, at what point does it end?
He's just objective. Like, he's right. The people who are falling for this are
have psychological issues,
psychologically disintegrating in front of our eyes. It's funny.
You talk about.
Here, let's do this one. You shared this one. This one looked good.
That's over there. Do you see that? Geula means redemption. That's the redemption pump. And that's what's so cool about being involved
redemption pump,
in the process of Israel. Look at that cement that they lay down over there. Do you see that cement over there? Do you see that? Like, that stuff, that sound of Jerusalem being built is something you got to get excited about. That's what I'm excited about anyway. I'm trying to share my excitement with you. I guess that's what I'm really trying to do in this video, is to share my excitement with you. Just to share my true excitement with you. We're right in between Jerusalem and south of Jerusalem, which is Judea. Temple Mount, the old city, is behind me. We should not be afraid of the word third temple. We're certainly in what even Ben Gurion called the third temple period. We shouldn't be nervous about that. When Tucker's like, they want to build the third temple, we got to be like, yeah,
they're atheists, secular.
We pray for it every day. And yes, we're building Jerusalem. And yes, we could be part of it. You got to teach your kids the Bible. You got to teach your kids about the greatness of this time. Don't fall for the hype. Don't fall for the anti-Semites.
Here we go.
The anti-Semites are just serving a purpose right now, which is to connect us, to bring us closer, to bring us home. And the boot of anti-Semitism is a kind of sad, but sometimes necessary part of the plan, because God is bringing us home. And to fall in love with this time, to fall in love with this energy, to get excited, to feel the passion, to fall in love with the word Jerusalem, and not to be, all smart and to be like, yeah, but the Straits of Hormuz are closed, and this, that, economic. Forget it. See the big picture. See what this time is. This is the prophecy time of the ingathering of the exiles. This is the time, by the way, if you don't want to see it in those terms, of self-fulfillment, of being able to be a Jew in the land of Israel. It's the time of building Jerusalem. You got to fall in love with building Jerusalem. I want to tell you a good story of a friend of mine named Anne. Now, Anne is a non-Jew, big lover of Israel. And I was at her house, and I said to her, Anne, I love your beautiful house, and I love your pro-Israelism, but there's one thing missing. I don't have a lectern where I could pray towards Jerusalem. I don't have anywhere in your house that I could actually fixate and focus my prayers towards Jerusalem. She's like, what? I'm like, listen, your house is great and beautiful and it's filled with good things, but I need a spot to anchor myself, to direct myself towards Yerushalayim. I need a lectern.
You have a spot in your house,
Jerusalem. I need holy books around me.
Jewish professor says Nick Fuentes is right.
And she was very surprised.
Is that what you just shared?
Pretty brazen complaints. Finally.
Look, Mark nailed the same thing we're saying too. Netanyahu dissing Christianity will have the intended effect of causing every right-wing moron to double down on that asinine slave creed. He knows how popular Israel has become. The last thing he needs is Gentiles imitating its will to power.
How funny is this Anne character that he's talking about? Oh, she didn't have a place for me to pray in her house, so I told her to get me one. Look, he's going to talk about how she makes it.
She calls me a few months later and she says, Yishai, I changed around my furniture and I made a lectern facing Jerusalem.
Shabbos goys are literally building shrines for Jews in their house, guys.
Scroll Jewish books around. And she goes, not only do my Jewish guests have a place to pray, but she says, I've started praying. I've started praying the Shmona Esrei, the 18 benedictions prayer, the central prayer of the Jewish people. That also calls for the rebuilding of Jerusalem. And she said, and it's changed my life. And so this video is about one thing. focusing ourselves on Jerusalem in prayer and in hope and with our finances and with our abilities and with our children.
Yeah, with
to
your
connect ourselves to this
finances.
great time. Look at this thing behind me. There is nothing more beautiful. Bezrat Hashem, look at that. It's the biggest Jerusalem that has ever existed.
Wait, I thought that Jerusalem has been flattened, and Tel Aviv and Jerusalem are under heavy missile bombardment from Iran, who's secretly winning, and the Zionists are just covering it up that they killed killed Bibi and
Oh,
stuff.
you're not understanding. That's actually AI in the background. Adam.
Oh, this is all AI. This is a studio, right?
Yeah.
In history. And we have a chance to live in this time. Hashem has given us the opportunity to live in this time. There's nothing more strength-filling, alive, vibrant, and frankly, more showing of the face of God. Do you want to see the face of God? Those cranes are a manifestation of the face of God.
Okay. All right, dude. Okay. Hold on. I'm gonna play this one, but I gotta go check on the fam real quick. Hold on.
You talk about
All right, sounds good.
end times and possibly a messianic period that we're living through. What does that look like based on what you've studied in the Bible? What does Sandy and my kids' future look like? It's pretty eerie, isn't it?
Okay, let's go right straight to the Bible because I have lived in that book for 67 years. Whenever Israel was reborn, this was the cardinal prophetic clue that the end of the age was beginning. Any freshman in seminary knows that. Then, as Israel became blessed to prosper, it was beyond any shadow of a doubt that we had entered the end times. Here is what the prophet Ezekiel says is going to happen, that there are going to be two wars in the future. They're the Gog-Magog wars. In that Gog-Magog war, Russia, Iran, and Turkey are going to unite and attack Israel in a land force that looks overwhelming. That's when God Almighty says, this is enough.
I have so many questions.
Fun, right?
I have for you as well, but first, Pastor Hagee, you mentioned China, you mentioned Iran, you mentioned Russia. These are not names that are found in the Bible, right?
Oh, no, they're in the Bible.
These names are these modern countries are in the Bible.
Well, the Bible calls Iran
That's why I
Persia.
hate Christians too.
And
They're so
Iran
stupid about
was
this.
Persia until 70 years ago.
Is China mentioned in the Bible?
That's not how Jewish prophecy operates. It's not like, oh, this means this, this means that. It's always about reinterpreting it, right? And the whole thing about Gog and Magog is its gematria is 70, which means the nations, which means Gog and Magog can be reinterpreted as all the nations or any nation. It's not about a specific place. If you ask Jews right now, who's Gog and Magog, they're not going to just say, oh, it's Russia forever and ever and ever. And, oh, Jews think that Gog and Magog is Russia. That's not how they operate. It's always about reinterpreting and re-understanding what it is. Today, Gog and Magog might be Lebanon. You know, it's a group of people to the north that's against them. You know what I mean? Like, it's not the Christians like don't really understand what they're looking at. Like, they just never understand it. They never really get it. It's so frustrating, even when they're doing this stuff.
Rabbis are doing that too. Also, he mentioned Turkey being part of it, and they're all threatening Turkey. You said you were watching rabbis the other day talking a lot about Turkey's next.
Yeah, they're all like doing this. Like, it's not just the rabbis either. It's not just the religious Jews. It's the quote unquote secular Jews. They're all kind of doing this pivot towards Turkey, I would say, where they're calling Turkey evil. Erdogan didn't. Yeah, well, Erdogan didn't support us after 10/7. He said anti-Semitic things. They're saying, and like. I'll just say, like, if they make a move against Turkey, NATO will be done. It will basically put the knife in NATO because Turkey's a member of NATO, right? Like, how will we navigate that is what I would say. And NATO's already kind of in a weird spot right now because of the Straits of Hormuz stuff, right? You know, Trump is basically like calling them cowards for not helping. So.
The north, all Bible directions are given from where Israel is. North of Israel, it says far north.
Because
the far north of Israel is Russia.
And if somebody wanted to look this up, which book would they pick up?
Ezekiel.
It's in Ezekiel.
The book of Ezekiel, chapters 36, 37, and 39, the first two verses of 39.
Wow. Okay, so Sandy, you're about my age-ish. How does AI play into all of this? How does the life that we are living in with technology play into these biblical stories that seem ancient?
I mean, obviously, I could not have foreseen, AI, but there are things in the Bible that now, because we have technology, make sense. They in the New Testament and in Revelation, it talks about the people of the world witnessing these things at the same time. That couldn't have happened even 50 years ago
Yeah.
because the technology didn't exist. So in terms of, I know people talk about AI and,
She is weird.
Antichrist and all of these things. I don't know if it's really constructive. I call that kind of like majoring on the minor. I think that both history and Bible history has shown that the Bible tells us maybe not everything, but the Bible tells us everything that we need to know. So
the Bible says, "He that keepeth
It's
Israel."
like mixtape, right? Maybe the peasants weren't meant to read the book of Revelation, I think is something that Nick said.
The word keepeth is a military term. He that
I
keepeth
really
Israel
didn't want to
neither
have to talk
slumbers nor
about this
sleeps.
publicly, as I do not want
Israel
my
is going to have two major events in the future that will amaze the world. And when God gets through with the enemies of Israel, brother, believe me, the Jewish people are going to be revered like they've never been revered before.
Wow. It's a lot to really.
And this is the girl from PragerU, by the way, that worked for Israel Unit 8200 before.
Do this.
Yeah, I
This
don't.
is what you.
What?
They're all doing this, by the way. This is the dialectic that's being set up. Is this whole thing? I mean, I don't think we're gonna have time for it, but like that free press debate that I posted a couple of days ago, that's being put up by Barry Weiss, right? So basically, all of what I would call like kosher or Zionist media is all doing this stuff right here, guys. They're all living in this, faith versus prophecy sort of debate going on. This is what's going on now. It's very interesting.
Think about every single day. These are such major issues. Like you're on the forefront of a timeless battle, aren't you?
Well, we always say, we don't know what the future holds, but we know who holds the future. And I understand that sometimes, the Bible and prophecy and really it can all seem overwhelming.
Whose daughter is she?
But
She's someone's
we also
daughter.
believe that God is
I
sovereign
forget
and that he
because
is
you've made
too
fun of
wise
her
to-
looks before, and she's someone's daughter. I can't remember who. What's her?
John Hagee's daughter.
Oh, that's John Hagee's daughter, right? Okay.
Yeah, that's why they're together.
Sorry, I forgot.
Yeah.
Okay. I couldn't
And
remember.
I think she has like a crazy underbite or something.
Who am I thinking of? Oh, I was thinking of Kim Clement's daughter there. That's who I was.
Oh, yeah.
And he is too good to be unkind. And just because we may not always understand, because we don't have the mind of God and can't pretend to know the mind of God, just because we might not always understand everything with perfect clarity, that's really where faith comes in. And that's where you say, God is on his throne and everything is going to be all right. And it doesn't mean that you have to have absolute clarity on every point and wondering what role AI is going to
God is on the throne and everything's going to be all right. What could go wrong, guys?
Oh, if only there was some sort of like BB who could come out and say like the counter argument to this perfectly encapsulated. Like,
yeah,
it's fucking so stupid. It's so
Exactly.
dumb. So this is going on there. This is what the people are watching, right? And then BB says stuff like he said, and then they're all like thinking, "Oh, BB, oh wow, he's so wise. What a wise leader."
like, and what is that going to look like? Because if we needed evidence to do absolutely everything, then we wouldn't be able to do anything, and that's in your faith walk and in your life walk. Readiness is not a moment in time. It is a decision. And so as Christians, we are ready to do what we can to exercise our faith in order. Again, it all comes back. People say it's about Israel. It's about Israel. No, we're not doing it for Israel because Israel needs us. We are doing it for us so that we continue to thrive and that we continue to be blessed.
Pastor Hagee, given how big
that was so rehearsed,
that those of us who are wide awake are witnessing, what words of encouragement would you have for us? And maybe passages from the Bible, scripture that we could lean on right now.
I think Matthew 25 is a very comforting chapter because it describes the fact that God is in total control of what's happened. God is going to reward the righteous with blessings that they cannot contain, and every enemy of Israel is going to be absolutely decimated. They are going to be wiped off the face of the earth. It's called the judgment of the nations, and that's where God looks at the enemies of Israel and says, "Inasmuch as you've done it unto the least of these, my brethren." My brethren are the Jewish people. God never called the Gentiles his brethren. Inasmuch as you've done it unto the least of these, my brethren, you've done it unto me. And those who have done harm to the Jews in any way will be sent into eternity for eternal judgment. And those who did righteously toward the Jewish people will be blessed through all eternity. Those who are supporting Israel with a pure heart are doing the work of God. And in God's own time, I assure you, the nations of the world that lift their hand against Israel are going to rue the day that they ever bruised a Jewish person.
Thank you both.
And he just lied
I've
too,
learned a
by
lot,
the
and
way.
I'm sure many of our viewers.
Jesus does not just refer to other Jews as brethren. Like I'm just gonna say that that's just not true. Like I could look that up, but I'm like 99% sure that's not true.
Trump says we've won in Iran.
Oh, dude, really?
What did you mean by that? Oh, I
guess nothing to worry about.
We've knocked out their Navy, their Air Force. We've knocked out their anti-aircraft. We've knocked out everything. We're roaming free. From a military standpoint, all they're doing is clogging up the strait. But from a military standpoint, they're finished. So how much longer?
Jesus never calls Gentiles brethren, according to ChatGPT. He does call them dogs, getting scraps at the table. He says, do not go amongst the Gentiles.
How longer should the American people expect this? You said the war was militarily won in Iran. What did you mean by that?
All the Christian cope rolled into one, lack of self-awareness. How do you define Christians? I don't want to watch. I can't handle anymore, Hagee. This is the debate you're talking about.
From Mark Carlson is going to be for you.
Last clip.
Mark?
Steve, people like you thought that secularism would lead to rational paradise. Instead, Christian impulses seem to have crept into supposedly secular leftist politics. Love your enemy became suicidal empathy, and let he who is without sin cast the first stone became cultural relativism. Doesn't the history of 20th century Marxism show us where rational materialism leads? And shouldn't you, as a student of history, have seen where this worship of rationality would lead?
Well, you're assuming that Marxism was rational?
It was the worship of rationality, putting human presuppositions about right and wrong before the teachings of God.
If we judge
That's what
an
communism
ideology
was. So
by
that's
its-
obviously an e-crusader, just so we're clear, right?
Yeah.
That's like, what a ridiculous way of framing.
That I would never define communism or Marxism by that.
It's such a ridiculous way.
Yeah, this is the Free Press, CBS, Barry Weiss debate on if God is real.
Yeah, and this was a bit. If you guys haven't seen this is something great content to watch. This whole debate is really good. The part that we have here is kind of specific to what we talk about, but the whole thing was pretty interesting, just from the perspective of you can see the issues with what I would call like gaytheism, liberal atheism. You know what I mean? Like that type of idea. It's totally ineffectual against all of this. It doesn't actually get to the issue, and they never ever one time even talk about the fact that like we can look at the Bible and tell that it's not true. You know what I mean? Which is really the crux of the problem, right? They never are willing to go to the mat, take the gloves off against the Christians, because that's basically the reason is they're both universalist ideologies competing against each other. So they can't actually, go there, I would say. They can't actually remove that framework from them. Like, Nietzsche.
So is this a Christian versus an atheist?
Yeah.
Christian.
Yeah, the guy on the left is a Christian Zionist and Catholic, I believe he is, and then the guy on the right is a liberal atheist, also I think a Zionist. So it's like, yeah.
Effects. There are reasons to think that the precepts of Marxism were the opposite of rational, namely they led to disasters, but people held them anyway, so it was the opposite of the ideal of falsifiability. And they were they led to both economic and humanitarian disasters. So on rational grounds, we can say that Marxism was mistaken. So this is not, the failure of Marxism does not cast doubt on the value of rationality. It is precisely
like, if we just believe in the Jewish God, like then we wouldn't have had Marxism.
That we can identify.
Stupid.
Yeah, trying to make rationality synonymous with Marxism is so bad jacketing. Like, oh no, like the opposite. That's like saying it's either the Bible or Marxism. Like we couldn't have rationality in nothing to do with Marxism.
What was wrong with it? Likewise,
it also
the
shows
horrors
the
of the
framing
20th century due to Nazism
rational.
were not because Nazism was rational, quite the opposite. It had a number of obviously mistaken and monstrous beliefs, and it is by the lights of rationality combined with concern with human well-being that we can judge it as having been a disaster. I don't think that our problem now is that we have too much empathy. I think that the allegation that we're suffering from toxic empathy is mistaken. That too much empathy is the least of our problems.
Disagree.
If I
That's
were to
definitely
single
our
out
problem.
some of the things in Christian tradition that I think are worth keeping, then empathy, compassion, forgiveness, forswearing, revenge, all of those are good things because they can also be defended on rational grounds.
Let me follow up on Mark's question here then, which is,
see that he presupposes he
rationality
agrees
of-
with all the universal stuff from Christianity, right? Like that's basically what he's saying there. Is he agrees with all the quote unquote good parts of Christianity. He's essentially saying. But wait till you
Marxism.
hear the Christian's answer. It's so funny.
Okay.
So
When we
he's
look
basically saying Hitler didn't happen because of rationality.
at
Wait till you hear the answer.
communism, Marxism, Nazism, the greatest killers of the 20th century, the one thing they all have in common is they were not only secular in that they were not a fight about religion, they were emphatically secular. Religion was, in fact...
That's not true of Nazism. There was the Nazism had a lot of support from German churches. Hitler was not an atheist. Many Nazis
they're fighting over
were
if Hitler was an atheist or not.
The Vatican did not come out against Nazism, so it's certainly true.
Well, these are separate questions, though. I want to. Nazism was not a secular ideology. That much is true. And Christian churches, in various situations, made a lot of very unwise and morally disastrous deals with Nazism. That said, the animating theology of Nazism was pagan and I would say satanic. And Hitler's ultimate goal, which you can read about in his Table Talk and other places, involved, finishing off the Jews and enslaving the Slavs and then getting around to hanging the Pope in his own vestments in St. Peter's. So Nazism is in a slightly different category from Soviet communism, which is more of a kind of self-conscious attempt to build a society without God.
The point is that what seems to be replacing religion turns out to be polarizing. It's not just your view of humanism, which I think would be an ideal that most people...
Is this Barry Weiss's girlfriend?
...agree on. That we could set aside, you can maintain your religion or not, and then what replaces it is humanism. But that's not what we've seen in history.
Since the end of the Second World War, with the adoption of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights...
Written by a Catholic?
Well,
sorry.
That's
among other people.
Ross, that is totally irrelevant.
Among
it
other
had to be something. The fact that he happened to be Catholic, he actually, John Humphrey is the one you're talking about, and he absolutely disavowed any kind of religious or ideological justification of the Universal Declaration. The fact that he was Catholic is completely irrelevant. He had to be something. Now, we've seen since then an uneven rise in democracy, drooping somewhat in the last 10 or 15 years. But the Universal Declaration of Human Rights was the basis for dozens of national constitutions. But if you're looking at the overall trend
so they're both arguing that their worldviews are required for to have values. Do you understand how crazy this is? So he's basically saying his version of like humanism is required to constrain the crazy political situation we're seeing, and then the Christian is saying the same thing. So they're arguing over like political legitimacy is a good way I would describe this. And they're both completely wrong here. This is the problem, is that we are once again at a point where our civilization is be giving two choices: a sort of humanist, universal, secular liberalism, right? And then the other choice is you'll see. I hit play because the guy's about to say
there's certainly been a rise
a Jewish religion, morality, a universal Judaism.
Values.
The fact that religion is declining, despite the history that we've talked about, doesn't that mean that it's failing to provide people the thing that we're talking about? Community, the charity, the hedge against catastrophe that Dr. Pinker has suggested. It's failing in some way if people aren't finding that.
I mean, religion has failed institutionally in all kinds of ways in this era. Sometimes by being too intolerant and punitive and cruel, sometimes by being sort of lax and surrendering totally to the spirit of the age so that no one has a reason to go to church, sometimes by having scandals, sometimes by getting enmeshed with politics. Institutional religion is always failing, and then it's always recovering, right? And one of the useful things about being a Christian, though this also applies to our elder brothers in faith, the Jews, is that this is
Catholic elder brothers in faith.
Yeah,
the Jews.
You see this? This is how is how Catholics see Jews, guys. It's not because of Schofield Bible. This is what they think, that we're getting our morality and our understanding of the world from them. Thank you very much.
Salvation is from the Jews.
Clearly promised in our sacred scriptures from the beginning. If you read the Old Testament, it's not a story of, the Hebrew faith going from strength to strength and just kicking ass all the time. It's like things are pretty good. Oh, nope, everybody lost their faith and started sacrificing
Oh, I
to
just
idols.
saw.
We're
You
sorry.
see the girl in the
It's time
bottom
for a
right
Persian
smiling when he
invasion.
said
And
that
this
thing about
goes
the Old
on
Testament. I
over
bet
and
she's
over
Jewish.
again.
Look at
Then
her.
you
I
get to
bet
the New
she is.
Testament. It's like, well, here's the Son of God, and how are his chosen disciples doing? Oh, they're all betraying him, and one of them really betrayed him, and the rest are fleeing, and so on. Like, if you read the genealogy of Jesus, which is a famously boring part of Scripture that people read at Christmas, and you go through the various characters listed as ancestors of the Savior of the world, they're not a row of like cosmic heroes. They're a row of sinners and screw-ups, and that can be
so we're
and is often a
worshiping
reason for
that.
people to turn away from religion. But those of us who believe in the God of the Bible do have the confidence that, for whatever reason, this is part of the arc of human history.
For
And
whatever
it was
reason.
sort of,
so just to be
it's
clear,
in
hold on
there
real
from the
quick. I just want to
beginning.
point
It's
out,
the claim-
she
it's
just
part-
asked, like, why are things so shitty? Like, your church is failing, everything sucks, and you're claiming that, this is the way to go. And his answer is, oh, well, that's basically the way it goes sometimes. Oh, you know what I mean? Like, he's basically like offloading responsibility, because these basically, this is what Christians do, is they always constantly like scapegoat something else. They never take accountability for what's going on. So he wants to, at the same time, like all of them do, claim that all of our values come from here, while at the same time taking no responsibility for the state of the world that we're in. In fact, he says that the state of the world is the way it is because, that's just how God works in mysterious ways, right? So like, this is the problem here, is like, this is how they view the world. And there's no changing this. This is just how they view it. You know what I mean?
Part of the claim
This isn't changing.
that Christian and Jewish faith make, that things will get worse and then they will get better.
Yeah.
And God allows you a certain amount of freedom, a room to drift away and make terrible mistakes, and then you have a chance to be pulled back in.
Yeah, this cycle that he just described is basically what all the rabbis are talking about right now. They're saying, look at the battlefield, we're winning. Look, that means that's proof that God's with us, all those things, right? And then when things turn the other way and things start failing for them, what do they say? Oh, that means we've upset God, we didn't worship him hard enough. And this cycle, this cope about reality is a totally unhealthy way of viewing the world. When your country is shitty, it's because you've made bad choices, not because Hashem is punishing you. Okay, like, that's not how it actually works. And that's like built into the narrative of the Bible. That's like an important part of the core part of the Bible, is that concept of redemption and restoration, and then falling away from God and coming back to him, that whole idea, and just keep doing that cycle. Like, that is the basis of the Bible and Jesus. But
Another report, Pentagon has made detailed preparations for deploying U.S. ground forces into Iran, according to CBS.
hell yeah. Well, they sent Marines over there, so it's not surprising. I think this is where we're going. I don't think there's any way it's going to stop. It might slow down right before, but
no, there's going to be ground troops. Look at the schizo coping Christians that I deal with every day. Whole notification inbox full of retards like Antiseptic, who says, I'm an apologist for Israel and Judaism. An apologist for Judaism? Says the Christian that believes the Torah and wants to fulfill the Torah?
dude, his thing said Protestants are pedophiles, I think. Is that what that said?
Yeah.
Dude.
And Lily follows this idiot for some reason. Why would Lily want to follow that? You know what I noticed? Whenever I get attacked with some weird troll account, Thomas Massey is following them.
Oh, dude,
I
he
see that
follows
all
so-
the time.
Yeah, 100%. You're totally right. Captain Dreamer points this out all the time, that basically Massey's scum. Wait, hold on. You didn't even cover it. Did you see Massey retweeted? Go to Massey's. Hold on, I'll just bring it up. Go to Massey's Twitter. You might see it right away. Did you see what he tweeted just yesterday? I didn't see our guys
The
talk about this a
girl?
lot. Yeah, he's with the girl. With what's her fucking name? Here.
Carrie Bowler.
Carrie Bowler. Yeah, so this is what I think is going to happen. I think that what we're calling let's just call it the the right wing, like post-Trump era, right? Like kind of all the right wing is looking around and they're measuring up all the people in the right wing and they're deciding like, okay, what's going to happen after Trump? And I think that there's a lot of people that are on our side, generally speaking, who think it's Massey. And let me tell you right now, if people are like never answering, like we have to quadruple or times 10 never Massey. Massey cannot be held up as the person to champion any of our ideas. Absolutely not. And you can see why right here. He is bad news. For all the good stuff he does that I can agree with, all the good stuff he says, he is no good, guys. He is not going to be he's not going to deliver us victory.
All right, guys. Well, I got to run. Thank you, Amalek, for joining. Thank you, everybody, for the support. Leave a comment, like, share, subscribe. Subscribe star link down below. Pick up the book if you haven't. I'll get the bulk order discounts up on the website very soon. Clip the show, share the links, spread the word. Anything else, Amalek?
Nope. That was another good one. Have a good one.
All right. All right. See you guys on Monday, if not before. Have a nice weekend. Shalom. Happy Sabbath. And we'll see you guys soon. Take care.